Now we go to the start-finish line for those four most famous words in racing.
For the most famous words in motorsport, the woman again, the senior for Florida, Mr. Ron Gallagher. Drivers, start your engine.
Cars roar to life down on pit road, and the drivers adjust themselves in their seats, getting ready for 400 miles of grueling competition on the 2.5-mile tri-oval Daytona International Speedway. Harry Gant gets set to go. He's starting up front in today's race. This racetrack specifically here at Daytona, 2.5-mile tri-oval. The pole lap time was 46.909 seconds and the speed 191.861, banking between 18 and 31 degrees. Race length is 160 laps and the fuel range 45 to 50 laps. Here now is the starting lineup for today's race. On the pole will be Mark Martin from Batesville, Arkansas, car number 6, the Strolite Ford at 191.8, and Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia. In row number 2, it's Harry Gant in the number 33 Skoal Bandit Oldsmobile and Neil Bonnet in the number 21 Citgo Petroleum Ford. In row number 3, it's Ken Shrader in the number 25 Folgers Coffee Chevrolet and Brett Bodine in the Motorcraft Ford number 15. Going to row number 4, it's Rick Wilson from Bartow, Florida in the number 4 Kodak Film Oldsmobile and Davey Allison in the Haviland Ford car number 28. The 5th row, Alan Kowicki from Greenfield, Wisconsin, the Xerox Antifreeze Ford car 7. Phil Parsons in number 55, the Crown Skoal Oldsmobile. Morgan Shepherd in number 75, the Valvoline Pontiac starts 11th. Then Jeff Bodine in the Levi Garrett Chevrolet car number 5. In row number 7, it's Dale Earnhardt, the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet car number 3, and the Tide Chevrolet of Darrell Waltrip, that's car number 17. Starting in 15th position, it's Michael Waltrip in the number 30 Country Time Lemonade Pontiac, and alongside rookie contender Dick Trickle, the number 84 Miller High Life Buick. Then in 17th position, it's Terry Labonte in car number 11 and Derry Cove in number 10. The 10th row, A.J. Foyt in 14 and Bobby Hillen in number 8. In row number 11, Phil Barkdahl, the fastest second-day qualifier, car 73, and Sterling Marlin in 94. The 12th row, Rusty Wallace in 27, Larry Pearson, another rookie contender, in car 16. In row number 13, it's Lake Speed in car 83 and Richard Petty in 43. Row 14, Stan Barrett, number 90, Kyle Petty, 42. The 15th row has the number 52 car of Jimmy Means and the 29 car of Dale Jarrett. Row 16, Ernie Irvin in number 2 and Jimmy Spencer in 88. Going to row number 17, it's 71 Dave Marcus and 57 Hut Strickland. The 18th row, Patty Moise in car 45 and John McFadden in 24. In the 19th row, it'll be Grandad Cox in number 22 and Ricky Rudd in 26. And in row number 20, the last row, Jim Sauter in car number 50 and Mark Gibson starting in car number 59. The field on the backstretch. Our crew cam is not actually a crew cam today, it's the Kinder cam. It'll be worn by the official starter for Winston Cup competition, Harold Kinder. That should provide some excellent shots for us as he'll be waving the green and the checkered flag for today's Winston Cup event. The cars are warming up and we're just moments away now from the start of the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. We'll be back for that right after this. Getting set for the start of the Pepsi 400 from Daytona International Speedway. You're riding with the king, Richard Petty. He'll be carrying one of 3 in-car cameras today. The other 2 from Davey Allison and Rusty Wallace. He has 3 wins in this event here at Daytona International Speedway. Now there is the bumper cam that's being carried by the Rusty Wallace car. Rusty with a not particularly good qualifying effort on Thursday. He starts from 23rd position. Well, we're just moments away now from the start of this event as the field moves through corner number 4. The pace car is setting the pace at the moment, but will be in the hands of Mark Martin in just a few moments to lead them down for the green flag. And you'll be watching the start from the Kinder cam, the view that Harold Kinder has as the field is beginning to accelerate through the tri-oval now. Harold is holding them back, telling them to watch their speed. Now the green flag waves and here we go! What a way to start your July 4th holiday coverage of the Pepsi 400, formerly known as the Firecracker 400, the first telecast of ESPN here at Daytona Winston Cup race and the first flag-to-flag coverage ever of this event. They're running pretty much the way they started, with Mark Martin and Bill Elliott running side by side down the backstretch. Elliott pulls out slightly. Now here comes Neil Bonnet and Ken Shrader as Mark Martin drops all the way back to fourth.
Looks like that outside groove is the best groove. The preferred groove is going to be today because they're able to get some momentum up on top of the racetrack. Mark Martin, our pole sitter, back to about fifth spot already. Needs to get to the high side and not the low side.
And we have a spin in turn number 4. At least 2 cars are going to be involved in this crash. It happens at the back of the pack, so not a whole lot of other traffic to be involved. 3 cars become involved. Patty Moise and Grant Adcox are among the 2, and John McFadden also.
That's the car we see up against the wall, the gold car number 24. It's been a while since John has made a Winston Cup race. Too bad that it ends here so quickly in the Pepsi 400 before he gets around the start-finish line the first time.
That car up against the wall in the tri-oval as the yellow flag waves for the very first time on lap number 1. 3 cars involved in a skirmish coming out of turn number 4 in the tri-oval. Grant Adcox, Patty Moise, and John McFadden.
And Bob, the NASCAR officials are going to have somewhat of a chore in separating these cars out. They'll have a single file restart, and there were so many of them that running side by side when they came across the start-finish line.
There is Patty Moise as she has made her way to the pit area. We'll take a look at it once again. As I said, it happened at the back of the pack as they were coming off corner number 4.
Well, Patty Moise looks like she got sideways as she came off the turn and spun back out. There's Grant Adcox on the inside in the yellow and the orange car, white and orange car, I should say, as Patty Moise in the car number 45 continues to spin around.
And we'll have it from another angle from the high camera on the Winston Tower. Grant Adcox making just slight contact, it looked like, with Patty, and he's sliding to the inside of the track as McFadden rides the wall in the tri-oval. There once again is Harold Kinder's perspective of things as he waves the field together, bunching them up in preparation for a restart in just a few moments. Yellow is out on the Pepsi 400, lap number 1, a 3-car crash. We'll resume our coverage right after these messages. Back at Daytona and the Pepsi 400, and the field is under caution. We had a crash on lap number 1, a replay of it. 3 cars involved.
And Patty Moise, of course, getting sideways. Now, she might have been tapped by the car number 24 of John McFadden to get her sideways. McFadden wound up on the outside of the wall as Patty spun down to the inside of the track and back up. And Grant Adcox in car number 22 just barely clipped her, and Dr. Jerry Punch is standing by with Patty Moise, so let's learn more about it.
Well, Patty has climbed out of her Buick, and they've taken her back to the garage area. Patty, what happened up there?
I was passing the 24 car on the outside. We had drafted together yesterday, and he knew he didn't have much engine, so I just kind of motored by him on the outside, and I don't know if he had a problem or what, but I think he came up, and I definitely felt a bump. It was either in the left quarter panel or right in the rear, and it was right as I was exiting turn 4. The car just came right around, and you're already kind of hung out, and I was up high. It was just the worst possible moment to get hit.
Well, Ned, you're exactly right. Apparently that's it. What happened out of turn 4? McFadden may have got into her.
All right, we'll be going green in one more lap. Patty watches from the sidelines. It happened at the rear of the pack, few cars involved. So is starting position here at Daytona important?
I don't think so. You know, it's nice to start up front. I wish we would have qualified better than we did. We're not very good at qualifying. We never have been all season long, really, to speak of. But we usually have a good race combination, and that's what we concentrate on. So I think we're going to be good and competitive in the race. I think we've got a good race car. The only thing that concerns you about starting back that far is if there's any kind of accident or something early that you might get caught up in.
Well, Terry doesn't think starting position is very much of an advantage. However, as you heard him say, accidents could very definitely play a factor in that.
Well, the field was very fortunate that the accident happened near the end of the field. Can you imagine the 5th or 6th place car having that kind of problem? We saw Patty Moise go from the bottom of the racetrack to the top of the racetrack, back to the bottom of the racetrack. And when she makes 3 passes across the racetrack, or any race car makes 3 passes across the racetrack, you have no choice but have some super collisions.
And you'll never be able to convince Bill Elliott that starting position has anything to do with it, because he won this race last year from 38th position. That's the furthest back that anyone has ever won a Winston Cup race from.
Talked to Bill before the race last year. I don't remember seeing him that down as we get ready to start here. His spirits were so low, he didn't think he had any shot whatsoever, and then came out and won the race. So you never know.
We are going back to competition. The green flag is out. There's the Kindercam as the field passes underneath him.
Well, a few cars pulling out of line. Now they are getting back to abreast. We thought the single file restart might keep them single file, but that's not the case as they go into turn one.
And remember, the restrictor plates are being used, 15th, 16th restrictor plate, and there very definitely is a noticeable difference as far as restarts are concerned. It takes these cars quite a bit of time to get back up to racing speed.
Martin, our pole sitter, folks, was 3 abreast in the middle. He was the bologna and the sandwich coming off the second corner. You know that had to be a little bit earth-shattering for Martin.
Here is Davey Allison's in-car camera as he is behind Phil Parsons and Rick Wilson.
He doesn't know which car to follow. He's trying to figure out which one is going to go better, so he's just sort of staying in the middle of them right now. And look how close they're running, touching.
Wilson and Phil Parsons trading paint in the tri-oval as lap number 4 is completed. Great action from Davey Allison's in-car camera. Brett Bodine now on the inside.
Well, Davey figured that the outside line, as Benny mentioned on the first lap, might be the way to go, so he chose to stick with Rick Wilson on the outside, and of course that did, moving around Phil Parsons. You can see Phil has moved back several positions there now, and Brett Bodine in car number 15 caught down on the inside. He's going to have to get back in line, but Darrell Walter doesn't mind being on the inside. Look at him make a move.
Running side by side with the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt. And Neil Bonnet also doing well. You can see him there in the Citgo 4. Checkered on pit road.
Well, one driver that knew he was going to lose a position on the start was Neil Bonnet. He was running in second till they dropped the green flag. The reason? He looked in his mirror and he saw Kenny Shrader running in third and Brett Bodine running in fourth, signaling to each other that they were going to hook up into a draft. In fact, he radioed into his crew and said, "I think I'm in trouble."
Well, there you can see Rick Wilson drafting on Neil Bonnet, and Jerry Punch has a comment on Rick Wilson.
They have been holding their breath in the Kodak pits these first few laps, gentlemen. Rick Wilson was the last car to be pushed in line this morning. They had a problem on the car in the garage. They cranked it up to go through inspection, and water began to spew out of the front of the motor. Rod Pittman had to change the water pump. They tried to crank it again. It would not crank at all. You see this car, Rick Wilson's car, through the end car of Davey Allison now outside the car. And again, they had to change the starter this morning in the car number 4. What else could go wrong for Rick Wilson? He's hoping to have a free day here and a good day. They had a lot of problems getting to inspection this morning. Gentlemen,
here's the way they're running. It's Bill Elliott leading. The 25 of Ken Shrader is in second place. Then comes Neil Bonnet, then Rick Wilson, and then Davey Allison as the field moves once again through turns 1 and 2, headed down the backstretch.
Darrell Walter got down on the inside. Now he started in the 14th position. He's back now about 19th position. He finally has gotten back in line. You see him here now, the car number 17, the Tide Chevrolet of Darrell Walter. He tried to make a move on the inside. He was able to do that here in February in the Daytona 500, but it's not working for him this time. Of course, he was running the Monte Carlo then, running the new Lumina now.
I talked to Darrell Waltrip about this situation, and on Thursday he felt like that he could get on the inside and get by some cars. Friday afternoon, he had raced with some of the competition, and he had his doubts as to whether or not he could pass on the inside.
No, 2 cars behind. A.J. Foyt is the next car behind Darrell Waltrip, as we see Dale Earnhardt trying to make a move on the inside. Brett Bodine up on the outside. I was about to mention A.J. Foyt. He has now moved up to he's moved back a position to 20th, and I'll get in a plug for Dale Jarrett. He started in 30th place, and he was like Bill Elliott a year ago, very down because his car was not handling that well. I mean, not running that well. He has moved up to 21st position from 30th.
Look at the tight racing and the drafting that's going on. Dale Earnhardt at number 3, Jeff Bodine in the number 5 car, then Alan Kulwicki at number 7, and Brett Bodine in 15 as they come across the stripe once again and complete lap number 10.
In case fans are wondering about Rusty Wallace, he's currently running in the 23rd position. That's exactly where he started.
And there is the in-car camera that Rusty is carrying for us, breaking up just a little bit as he moves through the second corner.
looked like that in-car camera had some of Rusty's horsepower in there, didn't it?
Yeah, he needs some of it back, doesn't he?
Single file draft forming on the backstretch as there are about 12 cars running in the lead draft. Neil Bonnet now looks to the inside of Ken Shrader. Rick Wilson, the yellow car, is positioned on the high side as they come off corner number 4.
But pretty much staying in single file. Darrell Walker back in the pack has gotten down on the inside once again. But for the first 15 positions, staying single file, Rick Wilson had a notion it looked like they're to move on the outside of Neil Bonnet.
What about it, guys? We haven't seen much passing here in the first few laps of this race. Is this the way it's going to go?
Well, I hope not.
But I think a lot of people expected this, that they'd be running in single file quite a bit here today because drafting is so important with these restrictor plates, and we have seen what has happened when a car gets out of line. He'll go backwards, and they don't want to do that.
Well, Jerry Punch is watching the guy that's leading the Pepsi 400, Bill Elliott, as a bid now is making for third position. Rick Wilson takes third from Neil Bonnet. Jerry?
Well, Rick Wilson makes that move, and they're chasing the guy right now in the big bright red car number 9. You know, Bill Elliott said this week he wanted to come back to February and prove something. I said, hey, what do you got to prove? You've won here 3 times. He said, yeah, but this past February, we had a lot of trouble. You know, I got hurt here. We destroyed one car completely. The car we have here today to race, the car that's currently leading, is the car that Jody Ripley wrecked in the 500. It's the car that ran at Talladega and finished 11th. It didn't run that well. We wanted to come back to Daytona and let all the Bill Elliott and all the Coors fans know that we are back and we are serious. After last week at Michigan, we want to win the rest of them. And I think Elliott's proven his point right now out front.
He moved into 5th position in the point standings after that win last week at Michigan International Speedway. And Bill Elliott is leading the Pepsi 400 at the moment as 13 laps are about to be completed. That's Ken Shrader still running in second. Wilson is third. Then Neil Bonnet and Davey Allison, the top 5, as you're watching the bumper cam from Rusty Wallace's car. And that's the number 88 Jimmy Spencer machine following him. There is Rusty in car number 27 and Spencer in the 88 Lake Speed right ahead in car number 83.
There we see A.J. Foyt in the black car with the orange bumper.
There's an idea of how close they draft here as Spencer moves right up on the rear wing of that Rusty Wallace car. And there is A.J. Foyt moving the inside and trying to pass Dale Jarrett as Speed and Rusty Wallace look on. That would be for 21st position. Here come the leaders once again. It's still Elliott, Shrader, Wilson, Bonnet, and Davey Allison. Back with more from Daytona International Speedway after this. The Pepsi 400 from Daytona International Speedway. The fastest 400 ever run in 1980 at a speed of 173.473 miles an hour. And it looks as if the 21 car of Neil Bonnet has a problem. He dropped to the inside, got out of line, and everybody went wide. I thought maybe he was just getting out of line and losing the draft, but it appears as if something is wrong with that car, and Neil Bonnet may be headed for pit road. Nope, he stays out there on the track.
Well, he got out of line back there. In fact, several cars did as they came off of turn 2 heading down the backstretch, and he just might have got in a shuffle, but he seems to be losing the draft of that crew in front of him, and there could be something wrong with the car.
Well, if there isn't, that's a perfect example of what can happen if you cut the draft.
Exactly right. He may have a problem, but that's going to happen all day if a driver gets out of the throttle for some reason. Something happens. There we see the Wood Brothers crew. They're ready. I think he may have he thinks he has a flat tire or something like that probably.
Well, the Wood Brothers lead in wins here at this particular racetrack, and they have a great shot at winning this event if Neil Bonnet doesn't have a serious problem. But they are waiting on him, and we'll keep an eye on the 21 car to see if it does make a pit stop here in the next few laps. Not this time, as the lead pack continues with Bill Elliott out front, Ken Shrader second, and Rick Wilson in third. Now, Ken Shrader, who led the most laps at the Daytona 500 in February, has a flight schedule to meet this afternoon because he has a racing commitment elsewhere. If he drops out of this event and doesn't win, he'll leave from Daytona International Airport, which is just beyond the backstretch at 1:40. If he stays in the race, his flight is set at 4 o'clock, and I'm sure he hopes that the latter flight is the one he's going to be able to take.
He's certainly got himself in a good position here now. And the Lumina looks very impressive. Everybody said this was going to be a Ford day. Of course, the Ford is leading the race right now, but you got a Chevrolet in second, an Oldsmobile in the third position, and in fourth position, another Ford of Mark Martin.
Mark Martin took a look on the inside of Rick Wilson. He would love to get back to the front, but I tell you, getting to the front is going to be very difficult. You see Rick Wilson is running higher and higher. If he's going to pass anyone today, it looks like he is going to try it on the outside net, not the inside.
Yeah, I've noticed, Benny, that a lot of the cars that have come up through the pack, they have been doing it on the outside. And as you mentioned earlier, keeping the RPMs higher as you go through those turns, you can do that on the outside. Ken Shrader going to try it on the inside here, though. Will it work?
We may have our second leader of the afternoon as Shrader drops to the inside and pulls what used to be called the slingshot, and he has the lead. Ken Shrader will become our second leader of the afternoon, crossing the line on lap number 19. Shrader in the Lumina now leads.
Well, they said you couldn't do that with the restrictor plates. By golly, he just proved that wrong.
He sure did.
Meanwhile, Neil Bonnet continues to struggle out there on the racetrack. He dropped out of line and has fallen back several positions. And Checkered perhaps can tell us more on what Neil Bonnet's problem might be.
Well, Bob will just ask Eddie Wood, who's in radio communication with Neil, what was the problem?
When that pack stayed in line and passed him, I don't know which one of them touched him and rubbed it right front. He thought he had a flat, but evidently it's okay.
How much did you have to talk him into staying out there?
None.
You can't afford to come out of the pits too early, gentlemen.
Now another battle for the lead as Bill Elliott wants to retake the top spot, and he does it. Bill Elliott is back on top after Ken Shrader led one lap, and Phil Parsons is working the inside beneath Dale Earnhardt.
Well, what's going to happen is that these drivers in the back, as soon as they see a guy go to the inside, they're going to dive to the inside, hoping to get some of that air off that front car to help them along. But Phil Parsons right now doesn't have anyone to help him. He needs to get behind Earnhardt. Good move, Phil. He got right behind Earnhardt.
And there's the view once again from Davey Allison's in car, and that's Phil in the Skoal car just ahead of him. And you can also see the Dale Earnhardt car ahead of Phil.
There are 12 cars in that lead pack. They've sort of broken away from another pack of about 15 cars that are about 3 seconds behind.
Passing beneath the Winston Tower as it is full this afternoon of spectators watching this great racing classic that marks the halfway point of the Winston Cup season for 1989. That's Dale Earnhardt in fifth. Phil Parsons in sixth, and then Davey Allison in seventh.
We have a report that Phil Parsons' spotter is helping him to drive, telling him when to pull back in line. And Benny, that's a very important person at a track like this where drafting is so important.
You know, my son Kevin used to be my spotter, and he was the best I've ever seen at that. He would tell me, it's clear you can pull back up, and that's a situation here in Daytona as they come off these corners.
We have a crash in turn number 2, a car sliding down the backstretch. That is the number 90
Stan
car
Barrett.
that is being driven by Stan Barrett. This is the Junie Donlevy car, and Stan Barrett has brought along some sponsorship to that car and has come in contact with the wall in turn number 2. The pace car is already out as the field has already taken the caution flag.
Did you see Elmo Langley, the pace car driver, pull out in front of those race cars?
Boy.
Elmo shouldn't have retired from racing if he's got that much courage, I'll tell you.
He's a brave soul, but they got him slowed down, and he took his position. He's up front now.
Flat tire there on the right front of the Stan Barrett car.
Hawaiian Tropic, a local company, sponsoring Stan.
Also some help from a couple of guys that the fans might be familiar with, Burt Reynolds and Paul Newman. You've heard of those guys,
Yeah,
haven't you?
Stan trying to get back to the pits. He's got a flat tire, it looked like, on the right front. So he's trying to get back to the pits, get the tires changed, and get going again.
Caution flag out on the speedway for the second time in 22 laps. Our first one caused by a 3-car incident, lap number 1, and now on lap number 22, Stan Barrett brings out the caution with a spin in turn 2.
I expect we'll see most of them come into the pits, Bob, when they come around this time. And you can see that the pit crews are ready for them. That's Bill Elliott's crew there with 2 tires ready to go.
Rick Wilson's crew also waiting for him to make a stop. The field is coming off of corner number 4, so in just a few moments we'll know how many choose to come in for a pit stop this time. There's the pace car driven by Elmo Langley leading them now.
Well, it looks like Elliott's going to try to fake him out, but no, he's coming into the pits. They knew it all along that he's going to come into the pits. And everybody.
Every car coming down pit road. Elmo's going to have the racetrack all by himself.
Yep, nobody left on the track.
This is unbelievable. I think that one car is going to stay out there. How about that? But look at pit road and how busy it is. Let's go to Checkered in the Rick Wilson pit.
Well, Rick Wilson was the first driver to hit the marks. He's at the far end of pit road. They are going to change four tires as Bill Elliott is also on pit road. This is the battle on the top of the screen. Bill Elliott going to work his crew led by the Elliott brothers, Dan and, of course, Ernie the engine man. Meanwhile, below the screen here, Rick Wilson has completed his stop. Elliott is down the way. Who will go out first? Wilson gets up to the gearbox, and Elliott is through the grass trying to make the pass.
Oh! It looked like Charlotte revisited a few years ago as some agricultural racing went in there. There is Davey Allison.
He had an ignition problem. I think they changed the coil. They had the hood up on Davey Allison's car as he goes out. Jerry Punch is there. Jerry, what is the story?
Well, it looks like they had to change the coil in Davey Allison's car. They're talking it over right now. We'll check with the crew here and see exactly if they had to do anything else on Allison's car. And you were exactly right. They were having a possible ignition problem. The car was missing and sputtering a little bit. Many figured Allison may be the strongest horse here today, but he was having to struggle to hang on to the draft early on. We'll see if they've got the problem possibly fixed. It is still missing, we are told, on the racetrack, and Davey Allison again encountering trouble here at Daytona.
We're listening with the in-car camera to try to determine how bad the miss is. Well, let's replay now the exit from pit road of several of these cars. Watch Bill go to the grass there on the left side of your screen.
Unbelievable, Bill, don't you know you can't do that down in the grass? This looked like Watkins Glen or Sears Point all over again.
Well, you know, he had his momentum coming up. He was either lock the brakes down or hit that car or either go out on the grass. He chose to go to the grass.
Well, he probably could let Earnhardt just drift in front of him, but I tell you what, Elliott looks like I've never seen as much determination in Bill Elliott as today. He looks like he wants this thing today badly.
Yeah, I think as was mentioned previously, he's got something to prove to these Daytona fans after what happened in February. He's got to show them that he can win on Daytona International Speedway. There's Davey Allison, and he's coming into the pit area for the second time. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's there as Davey rolls in.
Well, they are still scratching their heads here in the Haviland pits, and Robert Yates, the engine builder and team owner, just can't believe the kind of luck they have here at Daytona. They are now going to climb in the car. One crew member dives in the driver's side window. They're going to change from one ignition to the alternate or backup ignition. He climbs back over driver Davey Allison, and Davey tickles him on the way by, never losing sense of humor. Now the car refires. It sounds a little bit better. They are checking the exhaust. He puts it in gear and drives it away. It certainly sounds better now than it did when it came in. Maybe, just maybe, that got it fixed.
Well, an example of Davey's bad luck here. Who can forget what happened here in February with him as he flipped over on the backstretch and kept going and didn't lose a lap. There is Allison as he builds back up to speed and rejoins the group. We are still under caution at the Pepsi 400 for a spin in turn number 2 involving Stan Barrett. Back in just a moment. The green flag waves, and we are back to competition. And look who's out front. It's Jeff Bodine, the Levi Garrett Chevrolet car number 5. He went in to the pit area in 10th position. He comes out in the lead.
Where did this guy come from? I mean, he was in a 10th place car, and all of a sudden he's leading the race. And look, he and Harry Gant just followed him, pulling away.
Let's get an answer to the question, what happened? Here's Checkered on pit road.
Well, Bob, this crew here rolled the dice just a little bit, a gambling move. Instead of taking 4 tires like most of their counterparts did, they only took 2 Goodyear Eagle tires and made a 12.28 second pit stop. That's Jeff Bodine rolling the dice early here.
And that wasn't Harry Gant, that was little brother Phil Parsons back in second spot.
Phil
made a good pit stop.
Yes. And Phil has always competed well at this racetrack, it seems. He and Jeff Bodine have pulled away, but here comes the charging second pack that's being led by Bill Elliott, then Wilson, Earnhardt, Mark Martin, Harry Gant, Morgan Shepherd, Sterling Marlin, and others.
Even Dale Jarrett's up there in the top 10. He started in 30th position in this race. He made a good pit stop too in the Hardee's Pontiac, and so he's up there in that second pack of cars near the front.
Great early run for Dale Jarrett. Here's the second pack, and they undoubtedly will be catching. In fact, they are catching this first pack, and Davey Allison is trying to catch up to the second pack.
Davey has a lot of making up to do, but it looks like the car is running much better now, and he's able to pick up on it.
And there you can see how he is trying to close in on that second group of cars.
Yeah, he's picked up the draft. He's picking up on them in a hurry.
And that second pack has caught the two that broke away, Jeff Bodine and Phil Parsons. And now Phil positions himself to the inside as they move across the line. He's got the lead, but here comes Bill Elliott charging and running beside Jeff Bodine for second position. Bill's got second, Wilson third, and look at Jeff Bodine who's hung out on the outside.
And Dale Earnhardt comes up underneath there in the Goodwrench Chevrolet, and Bodine just got caught out there. The train went by.
Wow, I can't believe this. I thought the high side was the preferred line. It looked that way, but
maybe the new tires maybe helped them to get down on the inside and it's helping them to stick down there.
oh, okay. So Jeff did not change the tires, and so that's what happened.
Here's Mark Martin caught down on the inside in the car number 6. He was the pole sitter.
They come down, and Phil Parsons is going to lead this lap. Lap number 27 in the books, and Phil Parsons at number 55 is the leader.
Phil has been pretty confident here this week. Had a good qualifying run. Felt that Richard Jackson prepared car was going to be strong for him, and sure enough it is.
And here's our pit stop summary. Yellow came out on 23, and Bill Elliott went into the pits in first position, came out in 6th. Rick Wilson, as Bill Elliott now makes a bid for the lead once again, and he passes Phil Parsons, and Rick Wilson comes along. Well, these two danced together last year at this race. We'll continue our pit stop summary as you watch the action. Wilson went in 3rd, came out 8th. Jeff Bodine, look at into the pits in 10th, came out 1st, and Phil Parsons also gained 4 stops. Now remember last year when Bill Elliott and Rick Wilson worked together the entire race, and Rick Wilson missed his first Winston Cup victory by 8 inches. These guys are hooked up again. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who has a comment on Bill Elliott.
Likewise, Bob, if you remember last July, Bill Elliott was really not a factor early on. He started at 38th spot. In fact, what Bill told me a little while ago was before the race, he didn't lead a single lap until lap 138. He led 22 in the final 23 laps. He said, I'm not going to let that happen today. I'm going to lead every time I get a chance, which he just proved. Gentlemen?
Indeed, he is proving that now. Phil Parsons and Dale Earnhardt are running close together back there in 3rd and 4th positions.
See what happened last year, Bill Elliott started back in 38th place. Rick Wilson was leading the race, came up to lap Bill, and found out when he ran up on the back bumper Elliott that his car would run about 3 or 4 miles an hour faster running behind Bill Elliott, so he just stayed behind him. A caution came out. Elliott got to go around, and then they got back together again, but Elliott was in the lead lap, and they ran together the rest of the race, and the end result was that Elliott won.
That had to be one of the best finishes I've ever seen in Cup competition or any kind of racing, and we could be set up for a replay in 1989.
Well, let's look at this 3 abreast.
Ooh,
Phil Barton on the inside.
Kyle Petty coming in there. Fellas, don't make it 4 abreast. There's that much room. Is there room for 3?
Oh,
And A.J. Foyt is charging on the outside in car number 14.
well, I can't stand this. I mean, I quit driving. These guys making me nervous doing all that stuff.
It's a lot different from this perspective, isn't it?
It is. Man, that looks scary.
That's Kyle Petty and Rusty Wallace running side by side, and Phil Bartol, number 73, is also right there. He was the fastest second-day qualifier yesterday for this event.
Some awfully good cars in that group. Ricky Rudd, Ernie Irvin, A.J. Foyt, Rusty Wallace, Kyle Petty, and Derek Cope on the inside.
And Ricky Rudd is trying to get toward the front after a dismal qualifying performance in that Quaker State Buick, and starting this event from way back in the 38th position. And there's Rusty Wallace's in-car camera as it is Ricky Rudd right ahead of him. Here's Jerry Punch with a comment on Rusty.
After a couple of weeks of almost domination here on the Winston Cup Tour, the way his car ran at Michigan and Pocono, he did not have a good qualifying run here at Daytona. They had some problems, and this morning again they had a last-minute engine change. Harold Elliott, the engine builder, said maybe we're going to try one other thing. We'll try an engine with a little bit different cam combination. Maybe we can pull our way out of the back 20. Well, it just hasn't worked so far. They're still struggling back there in about 23rd spot. Gentlemen?
trying to work his way back up toward the lead draft. Now we see A.J. Foyt running well in the Oldsmobile as he and Ricky Rudd are running together, and Ernie Irvin. Now here comes Rusty Wallace and sweeps by everybody on the low side of the racetrack.
Good strong move there.
Once again, 3 Abreast Racing coming out of corner number 4. Phil Barton to the inside. Kyle Petty was in the middle for the moment, and A.J. Foyt outside. Now it's 2 abreast as they cross the stripe. Back up front, meanwhile, it is still Bill Elliott, followed closely by Rick Wilson, and then it is the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt.
Earnhardt showing some strength here. His car is handling well. He was a little concerned that the Fords might be able to pull away from him, but they haven't pulled away from him so far in this race if they're in 3rd place.
And running in 4th spot is Morgan Shepherd in the number 75 machine. Then comes Phil Parsons and Jeff Bodine, and then the pole sitter in 7th spot. And we're showing you how far Davey Allison is behind. Here he comes after a couple of visits to pit road to get an electrical problem corrected. Davey Allison appears to be running well, but boy, he's got a long way to go. And there's the shot from the in-car camera.
If you folks wonder why we're showing you a shot of Davey Allison, because this car that you're riding with right now was the fastest race car in Talladega just about 2 months ago.
He is 6.5 seconds behind the leader, Bill Elliott. You're watching same-day flag-to-flag coverage of the Pepsi 400 from Daytona International Speedway on ESPN Speed World. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway in the Pepsi 400. There is the lead draft being led by Bill Elliott, Rick Wilson in the orange car number 4, Dale Earnhardt. Those are your top 3 after 36 laps. This race is 160 laps, 400 miles.
It looks like Bill Elliott is pulling his group around the racetrack about as fast as they can go. And when I say that he's pulling around the racetrack, that's basically what he's doing. The front car, that pack is going to run as fast as that front car is able to run.
And they've been running about 186 miles an hour, Benny, in the last few laps. And I tell you, a car that's come up is Tim Shrader down on the inside. He was back about 15th or something not too many laps ago. And he has come through the traffic now, moving on the inside of Jeff Bodine. So he seems to be able to take that inside group. Mark Martin trying to go with him in the car number 6. But Shrader has a lot of strength in that Folger Chevrolet.
Mark Martin, our pollster, was so confident that he was going to be able to win this automobile race, but right now he's back about 10 spots and wants desperately to get up front.
And a comment on Ken Shrader from Jerry Clement.
Gentlemen, refresh your memory just a little bit ago. Before the caution flag, Kenny Shrader dove beneath Bill Elliott over in turn 3 and looked like he took the lead very easily. I went over to their crew chief and said, that looked pretty easy. He said, well, we just told Kenny Shrader to go out and lead a lap. So Kenny said, okay, no problem. So we just dove down beneath Elliott, pushed the button, and led a lap. And Dale Earnhardt moves beneath the Rick Wilson car, and Wilson fighting back toward turn 1 to take 2nd spot. But Kenny Shrader is indeed very, very strong. Possibly a game of high-speed possum on Ken Shrader. Let's go to Jack Carew. Jack?
Well, Jerry, one driver that's seen this movie in black and white is Rick Wilson, who ran so well in the Firecracker 400 last year. Ron Pittman, you joined the team this year, came from 7th. He's battling for that 2nd spot. He ran 2nd. What's the situation in the car? A lot of problems early on here, and now it seems to be running well as Dale Earnhardt ran into the side of your driver.
The car hit just a little bit loose, but we ought to be able to fix that with tire stagger.
Now, they were talking about tire stagger, and you're going to go up or go down on the stagger?
Close stagger up.
They're going to try and tighten the car just a little bit more, and hopefully then they can get away from Dale Earnhardt before he does a tattoo much longer on that car.
I'm telling you, these guys are bumping and banging out there like they're at North Wilkesboro on a short track. Wilson and Dale Earnhardt trading paint nearly all the way around the racetrack, battling for that 2nd position as you look at the full field summary. Now there is Ken Shrader the inside of Dale Earnhardt, and I think we can throw out the window the idea of this being a single file follow the leader race today.
I tell you, as soon as someone got to the inside and tried to make a pass, I think it was Earnhardt trying to take up the 2nd place, they all just went 2 abreast. Wow.
Now you see that Ken Shrader was in 11th position not too many laps ago. He's up there now, fighting for the 3rd position.
Oh, that was a lap ago, man. Now it's back to 9.
Oh, okay.
This was the summary after 30 laps, and we've completed number 38, and indeed a lot of positions changed during that length of time, but this is a general idea of where your favorite driver is running at this particular moment. It is Bill Elliott who's been the dominant force so far today in this 400-mile race, leading the way with Wilson and Dale Earnhardt and Morgan Shepherd 1 through 4. Well,
Checkered. A while ago, Bob Jenkins, when Earnhardt and Rick Wilson came off the second point, and I saw that they were going to get together, I just held my breath. But, oh, Earnhardt once again on the inside. Now let's watch this, folks.
This could get exciting. He's going to try to get up. He did get between them that time.
He just squeezed up.
Yep, he just squeezed right and made himself a hole, and there he is. We're talking about tire stagger. You know, that's so important in making race cars handle today. Here's Jack Arute with more on it.
Well, let's give you a little remedial racing lesson here. Imagine, if you will, that is the outside tire on a race car, and that's the inside tire. If that's the case and you're going into a corner, you want the car to turn without turning the wheel as much. So they use tire stagger, the difference between the circumference of those two tires. When you roll the car, it tends to go around the corner by itself. Well, if you change the stagger, let's say have a different circumference on the inside or the outside, you can make it roll that much more through the corner. So when you close the stagger up or open it up, it changes just how serious the radial is on the cornerings of the stagger. As we look at Dale Earnhardt, who has just taken over the lead here in the Pepsi 400.
Indeed, he is about to lead a lap as they come down. He's passed Bill Elliott, and Dale Earnhardt leads the Pepsi 400 now. That's our 6th different leader of the afternoon in just 41 laps.
Tell you what, that Dale Earnhardt so far today, man, has been impressive. Look, he just pulls away by 3 or 4 car lengths on Bill Elliott.
I tell you, I think handling is beginning to come into play here now. Normally, as it heats up, the track gets a little bit slicker. Handling becomes a major factor, and Dale Earnhardt's car always handles well. You saw how he just drove down on the inside there and took the lead. Here's Jeff Bodine trying it now on Mark Martin.
Bodine to the inside and Mark Martin the outside as we watch Dale Earnhardt, who picks up 5 more Winston Cup points. He now is the leader in Winston Cup, battle for the Winston Cup, and it is now Morgan Shepherd and Rick Wilson battling for 3rd position. Morgan on the inside in car 75. He'd like to take 3rd from Rick. Brett Bodine watches, and so does Ken Shrader and Mark Martin. Here's Morgan running down on the inside all by himself, and he successfully passes Rick Wilson.
I think that's pure handling. Now his car the engine is running strong in it, but that car handles well on this kind of a racetrack, and I think we're beginning to show that here right now. They only run about 182.5 the last time around, but they were passing, and that's a little bit slower than they were running when they were running in single file. Look at Earnhardt staying down on the inside, pulling way over.
Race speed about 9 miles an hour slower than the qualifying speed. We're at Daytona International Speedway for the Pepsi 400, and we'll be right back. NASCAR, Daytona, Florida, and Daytona International Speedway, where we're presenting flag-to-flag coverage of the Pepsi 400 on this 4th of July holiday weekend. And look at Bill Elliott. He has gone to the back, gentlemen.
I tell you, I think Ned Jarrett was just exactly right a moment ago. Right now, the cars that are really handling well, are the cars that's going to the front. Evidently, it looks like Elliott might have a problem in the handling part.
I think the car's gotten a little bit loose with him, Benny. The track's getting a little bit slicker. And look at Davey Allison. Boy, he has come from the back and now moving around Brett Bodine. He's moved up to that front back.
He is in 10th position at the moment after being 17th just 2 or 3 laps ago. So indeed, Davey Allison is on the move and trying to get back up front. And there you can see Terry Labonte in the Budweiser Ford Junior Johnson machine just ahead as we watch from the perspective of Davey Allison.
Well, the last time we saw Davey Allison, he was in 19th position. He now is in 11th position, trying to take over 10th from Terry.
Oh, and Ken Shrader is in the wall, and Brett Bodine is also involved.
That's in turn 2.
And they're going to save it. Unbelievable. These guys didn't create a terrific crash.
Well, there's one car up against the wall. No caution yet, but
That
let's
is
see.
Shrader.
He's still riding the rim around there. You wonder how much debris is flying off in that race car as others go by. No caution yet as they come back, but Ken Shrader's in deep trouble.
Caution is out. The caution is out.
That is unbelievable as Shrader got up high, scraped the wall, and it looks like that he may have be in a position to make that 140 flight. Looks like that car may be damaged to the point where he's unable to continue. He's nursing it toward pit road. Brett Bodine was right behind him when this happened. It's a miracle they didn't spin to the inside and take out a whole bunch more.
All right, let's see. Morgan Shepherd went low on the racetrack, slid all the way up, it looked like, into Ken Shrader.
What happened? Morgan Shepherd got loose going in turn 1. We'll watch it once again, but I think that Morgan Shepherd gets loose going in turn 1. And when he gets loose, he has to go up. This is not the angle I was talking about, but when he gets loose, he has to go up the bank to catch the car. Unfortunately, Ken Shrader was where he needed to go.
He needed that much racetrack up there, and he didn't have that much because Shrader was in a groove that he wanted to be in, actually, and Brett Bodine was caught up there with nowhere to go. Actually, here, let's see it again. Here's Shepherd now sliding up the racetrack. You can see him touch briefly, and now they touch again. Shrader into the wall. There's Brett Bodine. And here is Mark Martin. Look at the move he made. Good move.
He dives to the inside and almost collects Phil Parsons. Well, let's go to Jerry Punch, who's down there in the Ken Shrader pit as work is going on that machine.
Well, Kenny Shrader brought that Folgers Chevrolet on pit road. He threw the window netting down and began to pound on the side of the car where the number 25 was with his left hand. He is very, very upset. They feel like they possibly had the strongest car in the field. They were playing a little bit of game of possum, a little waiting game. And now it may all go up for no because they have significant sheet metal damage. Jake Elder, you see the crew now working on the right side of the car with a ball-peen hammer trying to beat out that right front fender. They have the car still on the jacks as the NASCAR official walks around and surveys the damage. Kenny Shrader will try to get the car back in, but right now he is losing valuable time. Let's go up pit road to Jackaroo.
Well, Jerry, Ken Shrader may be having problems, but Dale Earnhardt is not. He brings his car to a stop. The Richard Childress sled team, the Mr. Goodwrench people, the Flying Aces go over the wall, and they are going to change 4 tires. Let's check in with Jerry Punch at Bill Elliott's pit.
Well, lucky break for Elliott. We mentioned this car was getting looser and looser and looser. They wanted to come in and get some tires, and now they would put right side, and now they've already put right side. They're putting left side tires on. The Tours Motorcraft for Bill Elliott. Elliott's crew now down off the jack. Good pit stop. He is down and away.
Well, pit road becomes very busy once again, and this time every single car came in for a pit stop. The pace car is the only one on the track, at least it was. Now others begin to exit pit road and catch up with that pace car.
Yes, sir. Bill Elliott, we see him on the screen. He needed this caution flag desperately because he was going to the back.
Yes, he was. He needed an adjustment on that tire stagger or something to get him to go a little bit better.
Winning the race out of the pit area will be Mark Martin, the pole sitter of this event. He is going to be the leader of the event.
And Jimmy Spencer is out in the second place. The Crisco Pontiac is a second place car right now.
Well, tires are changed and fuel is put in a Winston Cup car when it comes in for a pit stop. You ever wonder how so much gas goes into those Winston Cup cars in such a short time? Well, Gary Nelson explains in this track back. Track Packs are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
During every pit stop, these Winston Cup cars get refueled. They use cans just like this, built to NASCAR specifications. Normally, the person using these cans would be about twice my size because they weigh about 150 pounds when they're full of fuel. What they do is they push the can into the car like this, and the fuel rushes into the fuel tank. When they push the can into the car, it opens this valve like this, and it allows a whole 11 gallons of fuel to drain out in about 6 seconds. On the right is the race gas can, and on the left is a standard gas pump for your car at home. We start pumping gas at the same time. And 8 seconds later, the 11-gallon race can is empty. How much gas did we get from J&R's self-serve? Not too much.
And that's one of the reasons why pit stops can be made in about 13 or 14 seconds, the refueling and the retiring in Winston Cup competition. We're glad you could join us for the Pepsi 400 here at Daytona International Speedway. We'll be right back. Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, Jack Root, and Dr. Jerry Punch back at Daytona International Speedway. We're about to go green. This is why we are cautioned.
Car number 75, the blue and white car, slides up into Ken Shrader in car number 25. Brett Bodine in the red and white car, bumps Shrader in the rear. Shrader stays on the wall. He's still in the pits as we get ready to go green again.
And there is some of the tremendous crowd that has turned out for this Pepsi 400. And the green flag is waved once again, and Mark Martin is the first car to cross the line. Pulls away from Jimmy Spencer and Derek Cope as they head for turn number 1. Dale Earnhardt there in the black number 3. There's Jeff Bodine and Bobby Hillin along with Rick Wilson.
Both Derek Cope and Jimmy Spencer only took on the right side tires. Good pit stop for them. Got back out up front.
Jimmy Spencer, by the way, will be driving this number 88 car owned by Buddy Baker the rest of the way in the 1989 campaign. There's the green number 26 of Ricky Rudd, who has worked his way up toward the front after starting in 38th position in the next to the last row. Mark Martin with several car length advantage now on Dale Earnhardt, but Dale and others will be catching quickly.
Well, there's one car headed to the pits. That's Harry Gantz, car number 33. Gant was started in 3rd place, but now he's making an unscheduled pit stop just behind Ken Shrader in the pits as they race for the lead. Here's Gant's car. Evidently right front tire going down on the Skull car. Jerry Punch is there.
They're changing the left as well.
Well, unfortunate circumstances for Leo Jackson and the Harry Gant crew. They possibly have an equalized tire. They just came in under the caution, changed 4 tires again, noted a vibration as they went back to green, so they will lose some valuable time. Hopefully not a lap here in the pits. They had the left side tires on. Andy Petrie and the crew trying to... Here is Charlie Presley now mans the jack. They get ready to pull the car off the jack. The field now trying to come their way through. Gant is down and away.
I don't think he's going to make it. He's just now pulling out of the pits, and here comes the lead pack. So Harry Gant is going to go a lap down after visiting the
situation, and that made a big difference in where they came out.
And there is Phil Parsons running with Ricky Rudd and others. This is the 3rd pack. There is also right there, along with Rusty Wallace and Neil Bonnet on the yellow number 30 car driven by Michael Walter. And we see the view of Rusty Wallace's bumper cam as the number 71 Lumina, driven by Dave Marcus. Look how close he gets to the rear end of Rusty's car.
Well, Dave don't mind doing a little bit of intimidating. Here's Dale Earnhardt going for the lead.
Dale to the inside, and Jeff Bodine comes along also with Rick Wilson, and it looks as if Mark Martin is going to lose the lead. Indeed he does, as Dale Earnhardt will get credit for that lap. Mark is fighting back on the outside all by himself in that Ford, and now... Come on, Rick, get up behind him. Rick is trying to decide which way to go, and he sort of stays in the middle also.
Take the 6, Rick. We get us a good race going here.
No, I think Rick sees that Earnhardt maybe has the hot ticket right now. He's going to go with him.
Now the backstretch, Wilson falls in behind Jeff Bodine. Now he decides to go outside.
Well, I tell you, you've got to be impressed with Martin, able to stay out there by himself, even though Earnhardt goes into the turn a little bit deeper, goes high, but here comes Martin back on the outside. Boy, they're getting close. Here comes Bodine, making 3 abreast.
All right, now we're going somewhere. No, we touched. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, yeah! Mark Martin is spinning to the infield.
Another car is coming on. Can he keep it down on the inside? There's Phil Barstow spinning out in front of him.
But unbelievable, guys, that only 2 cars are involved, as everybody played heads-up driving and avoided a major catastrophe right here at the starting line.
You're right, the caution is out, but you are right. It is a miracle.
Are you okay, Billy?
This is the doggone thing I've ever seen in my life.
Unbelievable job of driving by virtually all of the field as Mark Martin, the leader, spun right in front of the main grandstand of the start-finish line, and only Phil Barton
Well, I think that Mark Martin's spin came. Let's look at it again. Here's Earnhardt. Looked like in the middle. He and Jeff Bodine got together a little bit there, and they touched, and evidently Bodine got into Mark Martin just a little bit as he was battling with Earnhardt back there, spinning him around. And look at him come back up in the track there just for a moment. Those cars go by on the outside. He gets the car straightened out again, keeps it down on the grass, and that's Phil Bucknall out in front. The smoke that you saw out at the end of pit road.
What happens is that Earnhardt touches Bodine,
And
Bodine touches the 6 car, and away we go.
Spinning around. Look at the cars that were able to go by on the outside. He's now look, an opening in the traffic. He comes back up there, and it looked like it was planned that way. And all those cars come by. They need to go up a little bit. Here comes the other pack. He gets back down on the inside of the track. They all get by.
They're running 150 miles an hour while Mark is spinning around in front.
Well, I tell you, have you ever seen anything like that before? It
didn't look like that from up here. Now the lead goes to Terry Labonte in car number 11. We're under our 4th caution of the afternoon. Let's go to Jerry Punch with a comment on the Mark Martin situation.
Well, gentlemen, just a minute ago, I was talking to the Jack Roush, Mark Martin crew here, and Steve Mill and the crew getting ready to bring him in. And what Mark had said on the radio was, as he came by, he said, "Hey guys, I'm sorry I scared you a little bit out there. I can't tell you what happened. My heart's pounding so hard I can't even talk. Next time by, maybe I'll calm down a little bit and tell you." He said, "But hey, I'm sorry I scared you a little bit there. But everything's okay with the car. We're going to come in this time and probably change 4 tires. Looks like they are going to come in and change 4 tires. And Steve Mill and the Stroke Flag crew wait on the pole center here."
Scared you too, though.
Man, that boy needs to be, NASCAR just needs to red flag this thing and let that boy calm down. If he's as scared as I am, he's scared to death.
He's going for $100,000, $98,600 from Unicount, and the Speedway has contributed another $1,400 to make it an even $100,000 bonus that Mark Martin will pick up if he wins this race as the pole sitter. And he had a close scare, but stayed on the lead lap, and everything appears to be okay. Bill Parsons is visiting pit road, as is Dick Rickle in the number 84 car, Dave Marcus. Martin is also coming in, along with Richard Petty, Brett Bodine, and Ken Shrader once again. There is Mark Martin, Jerry Punch.
Well, the Stroke Flag crew will going to work on Mark Martin's car, and he revs the motor up very loud. I'm sure they will change tires, add fuel, and probably even take his pulse here for a few seconds. They now have the right side tires on. They scamper back across the wall. He keeps the car revved up to make sure that the heat will not be a factor. A little bit of bumper damage on the car there. You see the car, a little bumper damage on the back of the car as he spun around. Down the way. Great pit stop by Robin Pemberton, Steve Mill, and the Stroke Flag crew.
Well, Jerry, if they were going to check his pulse, you was going to have to do it. They were all too busy getting him out of the pits.
Mark Martin goes back out onto the racetrack after a scary moment spinning at the start-finish line here at the Pepsi 400. We'll be back with more coverage right after this. NASCAR presenting the Pepsi 400 from Daytona Beach and Daytona International Speedway. This is Fireball Roberts' car, a sand sculpture on the beach at Daytona. Fireball Roberts.
25 years ago today that he passed away from his burns that he received in the World 600 at Charlotte about 6 weeks earlier.
Terry Labonte, after all is said and done, and after the spinning down here in front of us, has the lead now as the green comes out on lap number 57, and Jeff Bodine is in second spot.
Let me correct myself, Bob. It was 25 years ago tomorrow that Fireball Roberts passed away.
July 2nd, and July 2nd also is the birthday of Richard Petty, and we wish him a happy birthday.
It'll be 52 for him.
Morgan Shepherd is in third spot. There's Earnhardt in fourth, and Rick Wilson fifth. Now Morgan looks to the inside of Jeff Bodine, trying to take away second position.
Well, he tried that on Kenny Shrader, but didn't quite work. But now he's caught down on the inside. Earnhardt's going to opt to go with Jeff Bodine, stay on the outside.
Let's go down to Checkered, who can comment on the duo of Jeff Bodine and Dale Earnhardt.
Well, Mark Martin may not have had his time to have his pulse taken, but during that caution period, Jeff Bodine and Dale Earnhardt exchanged words through their crews. They radioed in as Jeff Bodine takes over that front position. Bodine radioed in to go to Earnhardt's crew and say, hey, why did Earnhardt bump me so bad when we were trying to get out of the way? Earnhardt radioed back to his crew, no harm, no foul, I'm sorry. They all laughed as Terry Labonte goes out ahead of the number 5 car to Bodine, and here comes Earnhardt following him through. So they're radioing back and forth now, trying to apologize for incidents on the racetrack.
Well, they are certainly doing some bumping and scraping out there.
But guys, have you ever seen the racing as good here at Daytona as it has been in the first 58 laps?
I'm still in shock. Hey, I'll get my breath back in a minute.
I tell you, another fellow, we'll see him come into the screen. There's Bill Elliott coming back into the picture again, but Darrell Waltrip is beginning to romp there. You see him down on the inside, back there in about 10th position. This is the first time that we've seen him run this strong today.
And there is Bill Elliott running side by side with Rick Wilson once again. Jimmy Spencer there in car number 88, and Shepard. And here comes Darrell Waltrip. He blows by Bill Elliott on the inside, and Waltrip is on the move.
Yeah, right down on the inside of the racetrack. That's where he likes to run when he gets that Chevrolet set up, so he can do that. He can be tough. Neil Bonnet running strong in the Citgo Ford number 21 right behind Bill Elliott there.
And we understand that a few drops of rain are falling in corner number 4. It rained here on the Speedway earlier today. It's a variably cloudy afternoon. First we have sunshine and then clouds, and now a little bit of rain.
Well, Bill Elliott needed a dancing partner. We see him still back on the inside of the racetrack. He needs a dancing partner desperately. I thought that Waltrip was going to be his partner, but no, as soon as Darrell got by, he moved up and still left Bill hung out on the inside alone.
Boy, you got to give a call to Terry Labonte, who started this race from 17th position. He leads at the moment, but Earnhardt would like to grab the top spot. Here comes Morgan Shepard in 75, who's had a great run, and you can see the black cloud hanging over corner number 4 and a drop of rain that fell on our camera lens.
Shepard caution flag.
I believe this is going to be because of the shower that is passing over corner number 4. So our 5th caution of the afternoon. Harold Kinder waves it to the field.
And Bob, it can be raining on one part of this racetrack. It's so big, 2.5 miles, and everything else will look good. The fans down in turn 1 where it looks like the sun is shining. They say, wonder what's going on here, but rain over in turn 4. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, gentlemen, we were seeing that wild scramble just a lap or so ago because all the crews were beginning to feel the sprinkling. They know that in a little less than 20 laps from now, the race would be halfway and it could be over with. Well, a number of those crew chiefs were saying, hey guys, 19 laps from now, if it rains, we could be finished, so go to the front. So one of the guys telling his driver to make his way to the front was Steve Meal. And Steve, a little bit concerned about the rain up here with your guy stuck back in the pack, but first of all, how's the car to that spin up there? How's the Mark's car?
He says it's fine. He talked to us the whole time he was spinning. It didn't bother him a whole lot. If he didn't turn over, he figured he was okay, and he just kept stabbing and steering, and he brought it back. Said the car drives fine. Traffic is real tough. A while ago, we were pulling for rain at halfway because we were leading. Now we'll hope it goes all the way. We don't care if it runs to left or dark. We need to get 160 laps in where we can get back to the front.
You got some different color paint on the car there, a couple different colors of paint. It's been getting close out there at high speed.
Oh, they're racing. Yeah, it wouldn't matter if it's a quarter-mile bull ring or great big 2.5-mile tri-oval like here at Daytona. These boys here are going to race.
They are getting serious here at Daytona. Let's go up pit road to Jack Arute, standing by with the legendary Junior Johnson. Jack?
Well, Jerry, there was a major conversation here going on pit road, whether you should bring Terry in or not. But as the rain begins to drop down our end of pit road, you said too many things are uncertain right now. Leave him out there.
Well, that's true, Jackie. And plus, we're at the front of the pack right now. We stop and get gas and go back in the middle of that pack. And, you know, the rain looks like it's going to come on. And then we'll have to start in the back of that pack after it quits raining.
Hey, now you snuck up on these guys. You were mired way in the back of the pack, and just little by little, you brought Labonte to the front in the Budweiser car.
Well, we've had some real good pit stops, and Terry he's starting to get a little better feel of the car and the draft amongst all the guys. So he trusts the car right now, and it's running a lot better than it was.
Well, they may be serious about their racing, but I want to show you something as we were setting it up. They have this telephone here, and the crew, if I can get it open, the crew was sitting there trying to tell me that there was a phone call for Junior Johnson. Here, Junior, you can answer the phone now. Even on a holiday, they like to take things a little less serious than most people.
The legendary Junior Johnson, one of those guys we talked about in the opening of the show, the guys that created Winston Cup racing and made it what it is today. Well, there have been some great finishes in the past Pepsi 400, and there is A.J. Foyt, who drives car number 14. Now, back in 1965, fans thought that there was a close finish in that race, but it didn't turn out that way, and that's the subject of our Winston Cup replay. Winston Cup replays are brought to you by the First Name and Filters Purolator Exceptional Protection for exceptional vehicles like yours. 1965, the Pepsi 400 is waved off with pole sitter Marvin Pinch grabbing the early lead. But before long, Marvin begins to feel the pressure from Cale Yarborough and Sam McQuagg, and A.J. Foyt is moving up through the field. Soon, Foyt and Cale Yarborough are battling up front. Fred Lorenzen was having trouble with his Holman Moody Ford and drops out of competition. Yarborough found the high banks of the 2.5-mile track troublesome. He spins but manages to keep going. Foyt is still up front, but his crew shows Pinch has more than a lap lead, but he'll fall out with 24 laps to go. Foyt comes in and out of the pits quickly. Dick Hutcherson, the points leader at this stage of the season, is out of competition, and so is Ned Jarrett, but he'll go on to win the championship this year. On the last lap, it's Buddy Baker and Foyt side by side for what many thought was the win. Later, it's determined that Buddy was a lap down. Foyt wins this 29th race of the 1965 season. Well, that was then, and this is now an AJ competitive once again here at the Pepsi 400. There are the top 5 with 64 of 160 laps completed.
Back at Daytona International Speedway, I'm here in the pits with innovator and now car owner Jack Roush. And Jack, they're getting ready to go green. You developed the new intake here, which is to make a lot of these cars run so much quicker with the plate.
Well, one of the things that happened last year is we found we were down on horsepower, and it's hard to keep secrets of the Winston Cup teams. I checked around and found that a number of the competitor brands were encroaching on the plenum, down to within 1 3/4 inch of the center of the plenum. So I went to NASCAR after we were embarrassed at Daytona this year and asked them if I could work in the same area that the competitor cars were. They told me that I could go within 1 3/4 inch of the center, and the result is what you see today. We found a couple of things that other people overlook.
Well, they had this intake cover with a plate, and there are 39 teams on pit road that would love to see underneath this plate of this intake. This intake on his car ran 192 miles an hour and is on the pole. The same intake purchased by many of the competitors already now is running up front right now as you see them on the track. Gentlemen?
All right, thank you, Jerry. 9 cars now in the lead draft, and Darrell Waltrip is the only one to the inside as he moves alongside the Jimmy Spencer car and Bobby Hill in car number 8.
But Darrell needs a dancing partner. Folks, it's just impossible to get by on the inside by yourself. You got to get someone to get in there and go with you. Darrell could not find a taker.
That drafting is so important, and 2 cars can run faster than 1, and that's why he needs that drafting partner. Now they all got a partner. They're in single file.
That's Labonte, Earnhardt, Shepard, and Jeff Bodine. Shepard has run very well here in the first half of this race, nearly half.
Yes, he has. It's run very strong. Since they started using the restrictor plates, and this year in particular, his Pontiac has been the class of the Pontiacs. It seems that most of them feel that the Pontiac body doesn't do too well with the restrictor plates, but Morgan Shepard and Bob Rahilly, Rich Mock, the owners of that car, have certainly found something and have put him in contention in every one of these races.
Pontiac, of course, has announced that 4 cars next year will be given some help in Winston Cup competition.
There we see Bill Elliott and Darrell Waltrip. They decided to punch each other's dance ticket. Say, okay, let's try this. Get on the inside, see what we can do.
And here comes Neil Bonnet also to the inside, falling in behind Bill Elliott.
Neil Bonnet with a good run in the Wood Brothers Ford, number 21, going down the inside of Bobby Hill in there.
There's the progress of Darrell Waltrip, started 14th, 16th after 20 laps, moved to 24th, and is now all the way up to 7th at the end of 66 laps. And here comes Elliott, moving to the inside of Waltrip.
This is the pretty chancy take that Bill Elliott's taking. I don't know if he's going to be able to clear Waltrip or not.
Oh, he did, barely.
Oh, my goodness, folks.
Boy, that's close racing.
It's inches, just minor inches out there. Davey Allison, with all the problems he's had, he started at the back of the field twice. He's now back up in contention.
Here is Davey Allison waving,
Yellow flag.
saying slow down, we're going to be yellow flag, and it's for rain once again on the Speedway.
Of course, he couldn't see the flag, but he could see the yellow lights.
And look at this, the cars come down to take the yellow flag, and we're going to have a change of leader as Dale Earnhardt and Morgan Shepherd and Jeff Bodine have all passed Terry Labonte. He's going to be fourth as they cross the line. Labonte may have simply gotten out of the throttle, worried that the track might be slick because of the rain.
Yeah,
Well,
not taking any chances.
There's kind of a gentleman's agreement that if you're not keeping anyone behind a lap down, that you don't race back to the flag. You know, they're trying to get it so that you don't race under caution conditions back to the flag. So when the caution lights came on, Terry Labonte backed off the gas, and some fellows didn't. That's what happened.
Gentleman's agreement went out the window.
Yeah, the
right?
gentleman's agreement went out the window.
For the moment, yes. So the pace car comes out now for the 6th time this afternoon, and 2 of those have been because of showers. Well, I understand that they hold this race in the morning here at Daytona because thunder showers and rain is likely in the afternoon this time of year, but we're seeing a few morning showers here. There you can see the cloud cover that's over the racetrack, and some of the clouds don't look too inviting.
No, they don't. They look pretty rainy-fied at the moment. Now, many of those cars, including Dale Earnhardt, certainly have enough fuel to go to the halfway point, but I don't think that we will see this race called today because of rain.
No,
I think they've, you know, they got a long time to go before the sun goes down this evening, and that NASCAR will do everything in their power to get it in.
We might be here at dark this afternoon to bring you the conclusion of this Pepsi 400, folks, but I think you will see the conclusion today.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Bob Rahilly, one of the part owners of the car running second with Morgan Shepherd.
Well, he's the Ray part of Ray Mock, which owns the Morgan Shepherd car. And Bob, the question is, a lot of the Pontiacs have been struggling here at Daytona all week, yet your car with Morgan Shepherd aboard looks awfully strong. What have you done?
It's a combination of things. We've got a real good race team, a real good engine department. We've also got we build our own race cars and have our own chassis and body department that complements the good engines. And we got a guy behind the wheel that wants to win so bad he can taste it. And we feel like we've done our homework on our Pontiac, and we're real proud of it. The interesting part is the hierarchy of Pontiac's cutting us off for next year, and we really don't understand that.
Well, they're awfully tough here today. A lot of cars pitting on pit road. Bill Elliott, Harry Gant, Allison, the Coors car. Of course, Elliott, we mentioned, is already in there cleaning the front grille and changing tires there. Let's go up pit road to the Earnhardt pit with Jack Carew.
Well, Jerry, Dale Earnhardt has been uncharacteristically content to run in second until the caution came out. The car seems to be running much better. You seem as if you've solved your loose condition that was early on, Richard Childress.
Yeah, I think the last tire change helped us a little. He seems to like it right there.
One of the situations that we're hearing is that it looks like they're working on the intakes down in Bill Elliott's car. What could they possibly be doing there, Richard?
Well, all those Fords have got a real tall manifold and done a lot of work on them, so, you know, it'd just be a guess what they'd be doing then.
Now, it's some serious front-end work that's being done, but let's get back to Dale Earnhardt. He has not really run that well here during practice. He ran okay, but not really as strong as some of the front runners. But boy, when they drop the green flag here, it's as if he himself is worth about 0.2 of a second out on the racetrack. Is that compatible with your style as a car owner?
Yeah, Dale's always worth something when he gets in the car, but we worked all during practice trying to make the car as tight as we could, because we knew in the race that, you know, once these tires started getting hot, you'd have to have them where they'd stick.
Well, Jerry Punch, Richard Childress may not know exactly what's going on with his compatriot there, Bill Elliott, and the team. Maybe you do. Let's check in with you.
Well, both Ernie and Dan Elliott were there in the front of the car. Apparently a crack across the front air dam of the car. Maybe we'll stand by. Let's try to grab Dan Elliott right quick here. We'll spin him around. Dan, what were you doing with the front of the car?
In that where Mark Martin got spun around, we had a little cut in the bumper on the right front. Pushed it in a little bit. We pulled the bumper back out and taped it back up.
Should be okay for aerodynamics?
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll be all right.
Dan Elliott getting some repair work, a little bandaging being done on the Coors Ford. Gentlemen?
That's one of the reasons why the Fords expected to be so strong here. Their aerodynamics, we'll see if it affected the Bill Elliott car when we go back to green. Back at Daytona, the pace car leading the field down the backstretch, but we're about to go green in 1/2 lap. Now let's go down to the pit area and Jerry Punch. A team is packing it in and headed for home, Jerry.
Well, Bob, you're exactly correct. As you see the Kenny Shrader Folgers team packing up, and they will head for home. They've had to park the Shrader and Chevrolet because they have a broken rear trailing arm. Now, Kenny Shrader isn't through for today. As we mentioned earlier, he will take a helicopter from here to the Orlando airport. He will fly commercially to Syracuse, New York, where he will run a NASCAR modified tonight in Oswego, New York. Another driver having trouble. Let's come over here. Let's take a look at Harry Gant's car up on the jack stands here. Gant had a vibration in the car, and what they are trying to do now is change the drive shaft. Gant now has already lost 1 lap in the pits. As we get ready to go green, he will lose some more valuable time.
So the work goes on. The Harry Gant car as the rest of the field begins to pick up speed and head toward a green flag and a restart from Harold Kinder. The pace car is in. Here they come off the tri-oval, and it is Dale Earnhardt who's showing the way, but look at the action. Unbelievable. They're 4 abreast through here.
They're on the apron of the racetrack, the flat part of the racetrack. We saw Bill Elliott use the grass coming out of the pits. The next restart, they'll be in the grass. Wait and see.
Look at A.J. Foyt in the black car way down on the inside. Now he gets back in line. He's the second car behind Darrell Waltrip's car that you can always pick out. There's A.J. He really made a good move down on the inside. But what? Jostling around. 34 cars still in the lead lap as we near the halfway point.
They go down the backstretch, 2 abreast. That's Darrell Waltrip, Neil Bonnet, and A.J. Foyt on the inside line as most of the others are on the high side. Side-by-side action once again.
Darrell Waltrip's in to the inside. He wants to get with Martin. We see our pole sitter up there. He wants to get with Martin so he can go to the front.
Well, as they begin to get strung out, let's go back a lap ago and look at this.
Well, when the green flag dropped, everybody started accelerating. They were going 3, 4 abreast. Some of them down almost on the grass, others up next to the wall.
And once again from another angle, even before they reached anyways near the starting line, they were beginning to maneuver and position themselves. And oh, a close encounter there with Rusty Wallace and Neil Bonnet.
Yeah, boy, they got close together.
Back to live action now.
Darrell Waltrip and Mark Martin, they've made some headway, folks. They are, looks to me like going to the front. Bringing Kyle Petty in that peak Uniden car along with Darrell Waltrip.
And there's Rusty Wallace in the in-car camera right behind Kyle Petty in the number 42 car. Rusty moving to the upper line.
Now back at the back of the pack, we're watching Richard Petty as Bill Elliott just went by him. There's Dale Jarrett up in front of Bill Elliott, and Larry Pearson there on the right side of the screen as Elliott looks for a place to go. Remember, he made those pit stops for the front end work on his car, so he's got a long way to go to come up through the pack. Watching out through the window of King Richard.
Richard right now in 23rd spot.
There's, you can see how the right side of that windshield has been shaded. For the most part, that's not needed today because it is by and large cloudy here at Daytona, but that sun can peek out at any moment and really create some visibility problems. Back up front, it is still Dale Earnhardt and Morgan Shepherd, and Mark Martin has moved all the way up to 3rd spot now as Jeff Bodine goes to 4th.
I think they made the little fella mad a while ago.
Well, at least he proves that he shakes off a close call that he had.
What's this?
And he's going for 2nd spot. They leave Dale Earnhardt back in 3rd. Now Morgan Shepherd has the lead. And Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt are wheel to wheel and door handle again, coming down for the stripe.
Mark just had to squeeze out of the throttle just a little bit going in the 3rd corner and then stopped his momentum, allowed Earnhardt to pull back from the outside of it.
Those same 3 guys that created a problem a few laps earlier are running together once again.
But if anybody's mad at each other, it ain't payback time, not out there now.
Not now. That's Terry Labonte and Jeff Bodine side by side also. Darrell Waltrip watching all of this in the orange and yellow Tide car. Morgan Shepherd is your leader. Here comes Martin. He's got Terry Labonte right behind him now as they draft into turn number 3. 2 abreast formation.
Look at this, folks. This is unbelievable competition. Look at these cars.
And they keep talking about wanting NASCAR to take those restrictor plates away. You think they're going to do it?
Look at the train. Virtually the entire field now in the lead draft. 2 abreast. A group of cars on the inside line and a group on the outside.
Well, there's just not much room for anyone to get out of line. Although Terry Labonte and Jeff Bodine came awfully close. Here's Neil Bonte. He's going to get out of line, coming down on the inside.
They're 3 abreast.
Neil Bonte running strong there down on the inside. Davey Allison comes with him.
Phil Parsons makes it 4 abreast as they come down. Unbelievable. There's Jimmy Spencer.
Right in the middle. Can they make him into that turn? Phil, hold on to her down there. He's got it. Spencer goes a little bit high, gets a little loose, but he hangs on to it.
And there's the bumper cam from Rusty Wallace's car. Look at how they touched. Phil Parsons on the inside of the racetrack, right alongside Jimmy Spencer. 3 abreast down through there. Sterling Marlin on the outside.
They're all changing a little sheet metal. Benny, you were talking earlier about courage. Little brother Phil's got a lot of courage there.
I'm telling you, he stayed 3 abreast. I thought he was, sometimes he should have gotten out, but he stayed in there 3 abreast and took some spots away. As Spencer comes back there still side by side. And here, down the back straightaway.
Earnhardt looked as if he was going to make a bid for the lead, but Morgan Shepherd hangs on. And now look at Neil Bonnet and Davey Allison come through.
Those 2 Fords were back in the pack a little while ago, but now just working their way up to the front.
Davey Allison has his problems corrected and is up to 4th position, and this is how it looks to him as he's behind Neil Bonnet. And Morgan's wife is ecstatic.
That's Sandra. Boy, is she excited.
We just passed the halfway point. Harold Kinder gave him the signal, the last lap, halfway. 200 miles has been completed.
Stay with us, folks. The action isn't going to get any less than it has been in the first half. This is just unbelievable. Rick Wilson and Kyle Petty now are side by side into turn number 3 with Rusty Wallace right there. The bumper cam once again off Rusty Wallace's car. That's Sterling Marlin going to the inside.
This is really something, and Sterling Marlin goes right by the Rusty Wallace automobile.
There's Sterling to the inside. Bobby Hillin is coming along too, as they're 3 wide into 1. Bill Parsons now pulls alongside of Rusty Wallace and challenges for the position. Here comes A.J. Foyt and Lake Speed and Michael Waltrip and Dick Trickle and Derek Cope.
Looks like they're pulling the world behind them, doesn't it?
Back up front. The perspective from Rusty Wallace's car. No lifting here, is there?
No, there isn't any lifting. When you get in heavy traffic like this, when you go in the corner and you're side by side or there's a car right in front of you, sometimes you have to squeeze out of the throttle, but no real lifting.
And look at the field stream by, and ladies and gentlemen, every one of those cars is in the lead lap.
Yes, every race that we see is 4th position. As we see Davey Allison going by Neil Bonnet.
Here
Rick
comes
Wilson's
Rick
going to
Wilson.
try.
He's to the inside of Neil Bonnet, and Bonnet finds himself back and forth all of a sudden. And Waltrip is to the inside of Jeff Bodine.
Coming off of turn 4, if you've got a good handling race car, and apparently Darrell Waltrip does have, that's a good place to make a pass. If you got the strength to do it down on the inside, but now, as they go into turn 1, they're going to draft back past him on the outside.
It looks like that Robert Yates and the Havlin crew was very, very intelligent early on in the race, making the pit stop for Davey Allison, trying to fix whatever problem he had, because it looks like right now that Davey Allison is one of the best cars out there.
And we're on record pace as 35 cars are the most that ever finished a Pepsi 400, and that's how many cars are on the racetrack right now as we're past the halfway point.
Waltrip is strong through turns 3 and 4. Look at him get down on the inside. That's where he likes to run on this racetrack. He won the Daytona 500 and did it by running down on the inside and by getting good gas mileage.
And that's the battle for 7th position as a commercial airliner lands at Daytona Airport just beyond the backstretch. We'll be right back. Back at Daytona and the Pepsi 400. Here come the leaders down for another lap. It's Dale Earnhardt, and Darrell Waltrip has a problem. He's going to the rear of the pack.
Yeah, he really has slipped back through there up on the outside of the track. He almost acted like he wanted to get down to come into the pits, but he couldn't. He was on the high side of the racetrack, but now he looks like he's going pretty good, but he certainly has dropped back in the pack from where he was just before the commercial break.
Looks like he's on 7 cylinders to me. Looks like he might have lost a cylinder or something, man, or some type of mechanical problem.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's running down the straightaway. I think you're right.
Well, Waltrip is wondering whether or not he has a tire equalizing. We'll watch to see if he comes in. Meanwhile, look up front. It's Davey Allison who has gone to the top spot. And Rick Wilson is second. Then Earnhardt, who was leading just a few feet ago, is back to third. And there is the perspective from the rear, looking out the back glass of the Davey Allison car.
And that has the 10th different leader in today's race. 10 different drivers led the Pepsi 400.
Bobby Allison, Davey's dad, here watching today. Here's how Davey got the lead at the end of the backstretch.
He just built his momentum up going into turn 3. Rick Wilson went with him. Just drafted right on by Earnhardt. You know, just before the races, we see Dale Earnhardt running in 3rd place. I walked over. He has his motorhome parked inside the garage area, in the Woodcraft National garage area. And he had it on the window, knocked on the windows. I went by, I said, come on in here. There he had his new daughter feeding her with the bottle there this morning. This was about 10 minutes before they were introducing the drivers, and he had her in his arms, Nicole Taylor, there feeding her. And then he had to go out and do his job.
Let's go down to Jerry Punch on pit road with a comment on the leader of the race, Davey Allison.
Well, gentlemen, about 20 minutes ago, I made a couple of stops up and down pit road surveying some crew chiefs. I talked to Ernie Elliott, and I just talked to Butch Mock, the Morgan Shepherd crew chief. Both of them told me, said, hey, the man to watch today is Davey Allison, because Davey Allison showed so much strength early on when he came in for that unscheduled stop and had to change ignitions. He turned some of the quickest laps of the afternoon. They told me a minute ago, said, well, Davey gets to the front, watch for him just to check out and say, see you. But we're watching Davey Allison. He is certainly strong here today. Let's go up pit road to Jack Rude as Rick Wilson takes the lead, Jack.
And Dale Earnhardt battling back, trying to make a move up also, but you want to have a startling moment as we watch some side-by-side racing. Imagine this, hurtling into a corner here at Daytona, having the rear end break loose. That's exactly what happened to Darrell Waltrip. He thought it was a flat tire. They told him to hold on, because as he goes by the trial bleach and every time, they cannot see a tire going down. As we watch the battle between Dale Earnhardt and Rick Wilson enjoying, because they hurdle out of turn number 1 towards 2.
This is just unbelievable. Davey Allison was leading a lap ago. He now finds himself trying to hold on to 3rd position, but Mark Martin there in the number 6 car decides to fall in behind Davey, but side by side are Earnhardt and Rick Wilson.
Did you see Mark Martin dive in that little hole to try to hang Earnhardt out to dry? But Earnhardt, very, very strong. He's able to come back still on the inside of Rick Wilson.
The banking 3 stories high here at Daytona, 31 degrees. Earnhardt has the lead again. Neil Bonnet now comes up to challenge for position in the Citgo Ford. Just a great run for Neil, who's never won the Daytona 500, but has a win in the Daytona Pepsi 400.
He said yesterday that the car was handling good, and you can see that in the back inside.
We have several cars involved in a crash on the backstretch. And A.J. Foyt is also involved, I believe, and possibly Dick Trickle. Boy, Michael Waltrip took a wild ride on the high banking that we just talked about.
Yes, he did. Now Trickle, you can see his car, number 84, coming back off of the grass. You can see the yellow car of Michael Waltrip still down on the inside as they come off the turn 2.
And there's part of the car that he left on the racetrack after hitting the wall in turn number 2. Boy, that car just pirouetted several times, and I thought the air was going to get under it and flip it over, but it didn't. We hope that everything is okay in the Michael Waltrip car.
You know, we saw the Mark Martin's car spin earlier. You can see those strips on the top of the car, and the NASCAR installed those last year, and Benny, it seems that they've done their job here today. We've seen a couple of spins. So far, I haven't seen one get on the roof.
Exactly right. But the fellow that I'm concerned about, we can't see him, but A.J. Foyt has hit this dirt embankment where that ambulance is. And, well, that's right. The bank is there. We cannot see his car. The rescue team is all down there. But A.J. Foyt is the fellow who hit the back of Michael Waltrip's car and hit it awfully hard.
And there it is. A lot of front end damage to that machine. There's a little bit of smoke and haze that we can't get a real clear picture, but he obviously took a wild ride through the grass and hit that dirt embankment, the same embankment that created the problem for Davey Allison in the Daytona 500. He is okay. There is AJ on the far left of your screen. He is out of the car and okay. And boy, we're sure glad to see that.
Oh, that's fantastic news.
Talk about a legend in racing. There it is.
Sure is. Come on, AJ, get in that ambulance, go for a ride with us.
He'd rather get in that pickup truck.
Yeah.
But maybe he'll get in that.
He'd like to get back in the car. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be in running condition. But
no,
AJ
excited to walk.
okay.
Well, maybe he's going to get in that other ambulance over there then.
Well, let's take a look at it once again. It occurred in heavy traffic up in turn number 2.
And there's Dick Trickle spinning in front of Michael Waltrip, look like, and here's A.J. Foyt looking at him going headed towards that dirt bank on the inside. The hood's already up on the car, and he slams her down on the inside. Pit stops are the order of the day right now. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, we've got an altercation down here. This is Checkered down in front of Dale Earnhardt. As Earnhardt came in and they went to change tires, Alan Kowicki came in and punted literally, one of Dale Earnhardt's tires. Let's check in with Jerry Punch's Davey Allison is on pit road.
Well, they have completed right side tires changes, Jack. They're working down the left side of the Davey Allison car. Likewise, almost the entire front of the field in. Richard Petty, of course, number of cars is pitting. And Checkered, how is it in Alan Kowicki's pit?
Well, Kowicki shows some damage from the racetrack. He drops it into reverse gear to get out. He's blocked by Rusty Wallace. He can't get out. Tires are strewn everywhere. This is unbelievable. Both cars, Wallace and Kowicki, light up the tires and they get back out on the racetrack. Wow.
The action has been almost as close in the pit area as it has been on the racetrack.
We see the back of Alan Kowicki's car. I think that's what started the accident that Michael Waltrip and A.J. Foyt was in originally, because I looked up in the corner and I saw a blue and red white car up against the outside retaining wall and cars behind it. I thought it was originally Morgan Shepherd, but now it may have been Alan Kowicki that had some problems and someone ran the back of him. And it's kind of like a freeway accident. It's a chain reaction. When you have a problem in the beginning, somewhere about 10 to 12 cars it has the problem.
So we're under now our 7th caution period of the afternoon because of an accident in turn number 2 involving Michael Waltrip, Dick Trickle, and A.J. Foyt. Everybody appears to be okay. The pit stops have been made, and now the pack reforms for a restart when the track is clear. We'll be back with more of our coverage of the Pepsi 400. Back at Daytona, still under caution because of a crash out in turn number 2. Now, Lake Lloyd was created by using the dirt from there to create the high banks, and it's not too far from the racetrack itself on the backstretch. Now, when we had this problem up in turn number 2, notice that Michael Waltrip in the yellow car gets nailed pretty good by A.J. Foyt, and he heads toward the Lake Lloyd area. Now, several have visited that, but not in the last few years. Earlier, Benny and Ned were on Lake Lloyd.
Wow, that's a pretty good lap.
Who you on, Ned?
Well, I've been clocking Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, practicing up a little bit for the Pepsi 400.
I tell you what, all those people have some problems during the Pepsi 400 trying to outrun those Fords, don't they?
They sure do. Yeah.
You know, Ned, when Mike Jennis from Kamoela, Hawaii sent me this hat, he said it was a Hawaiian fishing hat. And I got thinking, where can we use it? Well, we found the place, didn't we?
Perfect place here in Lake Lloyd. 40 acres of lake here inside the Daytona Speedway.
We watch race cars and fish all at the same time.
I'll tell you, this is the life, no doubt about it, but I'm a little bit concerned, Benny. You know, race cars have gotten in this lake during a race.
I remember Tom Pistone used to wear a life vest when he was out racing, just in case he got in the water.
Tommy Irvin got in here in the Daytona 500 back in 1960 and had to swim out of here. Boy, I'm glad it didn't happen to me.
I'm telling you, Mike Jennis from Kamoela, Hawaii, thank you very much for the hat. It's going to Miami, Florida, where Miami-Dade Community College is having a celebrity auction. And folks, all you race fans down in Miami, go by, bid lots of money. Hey, what are you using for bait?
Just some kind of a worm.
Well, I've been using a spinner. I'm not getting a bite. Think we ought to move?
Yeah, let's move over that side of the lake. I know we'll get some bites over
there.
there.
Let's sing up. Let's go.
Did you catch anything? There is A.J. Foyt's battered race car, and it is torn to pieces. You can see the dirt and the dust that blew up on the car when he did make contact with that embankment there at Lake Lloyd. But A.J. Foyt got out of the car. Everything is okay. Checkered, you're right there.
As you can see, that's all that's left of A.J. Foyt's day. We did check over at the Infield Care Center, and A.J. walked in under his own power. He's just as ornery as ever. He says he'll be back. He won't be going to Cleveland tomorrow to run the kart race, so this is the only July 4th afternoon he's got today here at the Firecracker 400. Let's check in with Jerry Punch.
Well, Jack, one driver who's having a real good day, as a matter of fact, did not even need to come in that time for the caution flag for a pit stop, was Mark Martin. I asked Steve Meal and the crew why they didn't pit like everyone else did. He said, well, you know, track position is so important here. We've been mired back in this track, and we've been the cue ball all afternoon with people bouncing off of us, so we'd like to stay out and lead a few laps. In fact, we're getting awfully good gas mileage, so we can go quite a ways here. Maybe we'll get another yellow flag. So Mark Martin did not opt to come in, and he will lead them down to the green flag.
And that should come in just a few moments as we are still under caution, but we are providing flag-to-flag coverage of the Pepsi 400. Coming down for the completion of lap number 95, and the field will receive the green flag and a resumption of the racing, which has been just unbelievable so far in this Winston Cup event. Mark Martin takes the green flag, and here we go once again. Dale Earnhardt running second, and Jeff Bodine is third.
We have a driver change. Phil Bartdahl has gotten out of his car number 73, and Jim Sauter is now driving that car.
And once again, we're seeing 2 and 3 abreast racing through the corners. That's Morgan Shepherd side by side with Jeff Bodine. As Earnhardt there is in second position, and Mark Martin tries to hold off his challenge. Morgan moves to third now, and here comes Rick Wilson right along, and there's the 73 car that Ned just mentioned, with now Jim Sauter in the cockpit replacing Phil Bartdahl.
That car was the second round fastest qualifier, had a good qualifying run here, so Phil probably felt he had a little more race car than he was able to put up there, didn't he? And so he let Jim Sauter.
You know, Ned, I read where Pontiac next year is cutting back to 4 teams. And you know what? Morgan Shepherd's team, the Raymont team, is not one of those teams that's going to be held by Pontiac.
Hard to believe. And Bob Rahilly said that when one of the guys in the pits interviewed him just a little bit ago. Sounded a little disappointed about it, especially the way they're running here today.
Now Dale Earnhardt retakes the top spot, and Morgan Shepherd will join him as Mark tries to slide back up into third position, but is not going to be able to. And not too far behind all this is Bill Elliott in car number 9. There he is beside Mark Martin now in the high bank.
You know, I question them not making a pit stop on that car number 6. The others have new tires, fresh tires now, which will stick to the track a little bit better, even though Mark's car is strong. But they're going to be able to go further on gas, and certainly the tires cooler is helping them right now.
18 cars are in the lead draft. 18 cars running nose to tail and side by side.
Bill Elliott, Mark Martin running side by side, not able to get up the momentum. They need to get nose to tail if they're going to make it up to the front.
Yeah, they're not far from losing the draft to those cars in front of them. Now Mark Martin gets in line. He sees those cars beginning to pull away up front, so now they're getting in line, and you can see they can move back up pretty quickly once they get in line.
And they were battling for 5th position, but now Elliott has 5th, and Mark Martin has 6th. Bill will make a bid for 4th on Jim Sauter in the 73 car, and he has it, and Mark Martin will also use the same line to pass him.
Dr. Jerry Punch is with Robin Pemberton. We were talking about questioning his pit stop strategy. Jerry, what is going on there?
Well, they did not bring Mark Martin in during the caution flag. And Robin, why no pit stop?
Well, we got out of sync when we had to pit for tires when Mark got spun down through the tri-oval. We can go to about lap 110, and then we'll go the rest of the way on the fuel. Everybody else is going to have to pit again anyways. So we're just trying to not pit when we don't have to and stay up front and try to stay out of trouble.
Track position, everyone else has to come in again anyway, so they felt they didn't lose anything, except maybe a few spots on the track, which he has lost since they've gone back to green. Gentlemen?
Interesting race strategy being played out by the Mark Martin team. He is now in 5th position. And
boy, what a race we got going on. Look here, from 6th, that's 5 cars out in front, but look, from 6th on back through, what, about 15th or 18th? They are bunched up.
That's Sterling Marlin with Jim Sauter, Jeff Bodine. Neil Bonnet makes it 3 wide as they come down headed for turn number 1. Davey Allison is also on the low side of the racetrack.
Exactly. Davey Allison, again, one of the strongest cars in the field. Meyer back in the second pack, trying desperately to get through.
Sterling Marlin in the Sunoco car in front of him. There's Neil Bonnet in the Sitco car as Marlin moves down on the inside of Neil Bonnet.
Davey Allison also joining, and now we have Dale Earnhardt leading the race, with Rick Wilson now taking over that second spot.
Well, a year ago today, he was the class of the field, but Bill Elliott beat him, as you said earlier, by about 18 inches.
We will go back a half a lap ago and see how positions changed. Here is, watch the number 4 car in third position as he goes to the inside and passes Morgan Shepherd and takes second spot. And now Rick Wilson has his sights set on the leader, Dale Earnhardt.
Where is he going to make the move? He knows if he gets out of line, he hopes that Morgan Shepherd will
with a
spin.
And it's the number 59 car driven by Mark Gibson that has spun. The yellow is coming out, and here's the race to the line, and it's going to be Earnhardt. And well, Wilson made a bid there at the last moment, but I think still that Earnhardt crossed the line ahead of him. In any case, our 8th caution flag of the afternoon. Mark Gibson spinning, coming out of corner number 2. And he also made some contact with the wall, obviously.
Yep, it looks like the right rear got against the wall.
And here is, once again, is a replay of the race to the line. I thought Mark was just, Rick Wilson was just going to let Earnhardt go, but at the last moment he took to the high side of the racetrack and made a race out of it. Let's see if we can determine who crossed the line first. Well, Rick Wilson did.
I believe he did. And I tell you, he could have been doing a little bit of practicing for later on in the race and say, where do I need to make my move? And he could do it for free here as they came to get the yellow flag. Of course, he picked up 5 bonus Winston Cup bonus points, too.
Well, we've had 17 lead changes so far among 10 drivers. And there is the number 3 car driven by Dale Earnhardt, and we anticipate now some more pit stops, possibly.
Even if they came in now, Bob, they still would have to stop one more time, so they might not give up track position unless they need some sort of an adjustment or something. As Robin Pemberton on Mark Martin's car said a moment ago, everybody has to stop at least one more time, so they might just stay out there.
Well, you know, Robin talked just a moment ago about going to lap 10. Well, is he going to pit now?
Yeah.
You see, now if he pits now and all the rest of the field stays on the racetrack, he's worse off than he was the last time.
Yeah, he could come out with them. Even if they'd had a bad pit stop, he could still been somewhere in the middle at least. But exactly. Now he is coming in.
And let's watch the rest of the cars. No one else.
And it is raining in the distance. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's in the Mark Martin pit.
Well, gentlemen, this may be a mistake, or it just may quite be a piece of strategy. You know, I talked to Jack Roush a minute ago as they are servicing the Mark Martin car, changing right side tires, and asked him just how far can you go? Some of the drivers said, you know, Darrell Waltrip went 53 laps back in February. They may be able to go 55, 57. Martin is down and away. The tied car of Darrell Waltrip is also in, but the crew really happy here in the Roush pit about a good pit stop. You know, they just might be able to go 56, 57 laps, and if he has enough yellow laps, well, there may be some concern there. But Waltrip is also on pit road getting some service. A number of cars taking advantage of this yellow flag, getting in for fuel and tires.
Darrell Waltrip still in the pits, as several others are, as we are 102 laps into the 160 lap. Pepsi 400 will be back after this. Some very dark and ominous clouds are beyond turn number 3 here at Daytona. And the question is it going to rain again? Well, let's go to Checkered on pit road with an update on the strategy being played out down there. Jack?
Well, Rick Wilson was one of the few leaders to decide to come in the pits at this time, and it looks like, Sheldon Pittman, you've decided that maybe he can go the distance because he wasn't happy about bringing the car on pit road.
No, we can go the rest of the way, and if it stays under green, everybody that didn't come in has to pit.
So they're gambling here, Jerry Punch. They think they can go the distance. They don't think the clouds are going to bring the rain. They think they're going to victory lane because they'll get good fuel consumption. Who can forget the Daytona 500? Same scenario that Darrell Waltrip and his Tide crew wrote to go to victory lane. Jerry?
Well, you know, Darrell went 132.5 miles in February, Jack, but check this. Now, Mark Martin's crew just told me a minute ago, and the man who builds the motors behind me, Jack Roush, is the man who's actually doing the calculations. They would have to go 58 laps. That's 140 miles, and they believe they can do it. On that just stop you saw just a minute ago, that would be possibly their last scheduled fuel stop if they could go green the rest of the way. And if they can do it, everyone else at the stop, they might just win $100,000 in bonus money plus the first event ever for Mark Martin. Gentlemen?
57 laps to go in this race, and not only are we going to see some excellent racing on the track, but we're also going to be played out this pit strategy here in these last 56 laps of this event. And the green flag comes back out, and again, 3 abreast racing as Neil Bonnet headed to the inside.
Boys, these restarts today have been something else, haven't they?
Well, trying to get track position, that's what it's all about.
Going to the grass sometimes to get position.
They're easier to get on the takeoff than they are out on the racetrack. And some of them have taken some pretty good chances just to try to get that position.
Through the back class of Davey Allison's Havoline Ford.
Neil Bonnet, Terry Labonte, couple of Fords hooked up trying to get some draft going. Here's a race for the lead. Bill Elliott got a challenger on the inside.
It looks like that the rain that we mentioned is going to go to the west of us and stay away from the racetrack. Here's Dale Earnhardt coming down with Morgan Shepherd, Elliott, Davey Allison there on the inside of Bill, and Sterling Marlin has moved up into the top 5.
Haven't seen much of Marlin today as far as up towards the front, but he runs this racetrack well. He likes to run here. Darrell Bryant, the crew chief on that Sunoco Oldsmobile, got it working good now.
Let's see if Davey can take over 3rd position as they head into turn number 3. They're side by side as they go into the corner. Allison in 28, Elliott in number 9. Still door handle to door handle coming through the banking, 31 degrees. Now they fall onto 18 degrees of banking here in the tri-oval, and Davey Allison and Bill Elliott are still battling for that 3rd spot.
Davey Allison must have an awfully strong race car to be able to stay on the bottom of the racetrack and keep up with Bill Elliott, because the outside line they're in line. But now Davey moves up in the 3rd spot. Bill says maybe those 2 cars can go to the front. Let's see.
And once again, look at this lead draft. All of those guys on the lead lap, and all of them really are in quite good position. Now our Napa race summary as we see Davey Allison go to 2nd position, and he may have the lead here. Anyway, yep, he is going to take the lead in the 3rd and 4th turns. But here comes Earnhardt battling back. Well, the race summary as we watch this great action showed you that Dale Earnhardt was the leader at the time we composited that graphic, but I'm telling you, the action that we've seen today, you really can't determine from one lap to the other who's going to be out in front. Oh, and Davey sneaks up and cuts off Dale Earnhardt and takes the lead. Here comes Elliott to the inside.
It looked like those cars touched to me. Looked like I saw just a little bit of smoke coming off that corner.
That was the old slide job that you see in sprint car and midget racing on dirt tracks.
Well, now the Fords beginning to flex their muscles a little bit. Don't know if they've held anything back. It's not quite time yet to show everything you got, but you certainly want to stay as near to the front as you can.
But Earnhardt's car, look, once again, the car sticks right on the bottom of the racetrack. That Goodrich Chevrolet is extremely strong today.
Now here's the slide job that I talked about. Look, I think they did touch.
They did touch, yes, they did. Because Davey Allison went much higher than he normally would have if he hadn't been trying to catch the race car.
Yep, he just had to follow it right up the racetrack.
There's Allison leading them down. Here's Bill Elliott. Oh, and we have a problem with Rick Wilson. Wilson has made contact with the wall.
Larry Pearson, I believe, is involved. Here's other cars.
Harry Gant is among those involved. Dale Jarrett is also. Gant has a sliding race car, and Richard Petty is also going to be involved in this incident as he tries to get the STP Pontiac headed in the right direction. There is Jarrett with a little bit of body damage on that race car. The yellow comes out once again, and there's the damage to the Rick Wilson car, and a tough break for Rick once again.
Yeah, a lot of damage done to that car.
Here's Dale nursing his car to pit road.
I know Rick Wilson must be so disappointed because he did have a car that could win this race today. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, grew up just an hour and a half away. This is his home racetrack.
Larry Pearson is also headed toward pit road, and he was involved in the look at this. Oh, it's definitely over for Rick Wilson.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. He can't prepare that car and get back there.
So the guy who finished second last year here in the Pepsi 400, coming as close as he ever had to winning a Winston Cup race, wanted to trade positions and win this one, but the picture tells the story. He's trying to get that Kodak Oldsmobile behind pit wall and into his pit area, but it's a struggle to even.
Yeah, he's just trying to get to the pits. He doesn't know how much damage he has. Let's see, he's down on the inside of Larry Pearson in the middle as Darrell Walter in the 17 car goes by. Mark Martin on the outside, and Walter closes up on Larry Pearson, and Rick Wilson and Pearson hit, and that's what starts it all right there. The 16 car of Larry Pearson, the car on the right side of the screen, and Wilson in the yellow.
What happened, I think, is someone hit the Larry Pearson automobile and got him a little bit sideways, and he came down and nailed Rick in the right rear and put him, looks like, in the wall.
The crew surveying the damage to Rick's car, but it is definitely a terminal situation for the Oldsmobile. Let's go to Checkered, who has a comment on Wilson's run.
Well, the smoke has just filled the Kodak Oldsmobile's cockpit. Rick Wilson is finally getting himself out of the car. A tough afternoon for this youngster as Dale Earnhardt brings his car onto pit road for service as well. Wilson is out of it, but Dale Earnhardt's crew and Earnhardt are still in it. They are going around, changing tires, filling it up with fuel, as Davey Allison is also out. So this should be, barring any more cautions, the final stops for the lead contingent. It now will be decided on pit road, but Earnhardt is in for a very long time. They are completing their work on Dale Earnhardt's car. He puts it back in gear and he is away. A long stop, but under the somewhat of a luxury of the caution so they can make their final adjustments before we get down to the final few laps here in the Pepsi 400.
Something we've been talking about all day is track position. Dale Earnhardt came out with no more pit stops to go in terrible track position. Bob Jenkins, you think he can get to the front?
We will see what happens when the green flag drops once again in a few laps. There's Richard Petty, who spun during that incident up there in turn number 2 with Rick Wilson and Larry Pearson. They're looking his car over to see if Richard can get back in competition. For us, we'll be back to Daytona after this. ESPN Speed World today at Daytona International Speedway for the Pepsi 400. We're cautioned because of an accident over in turn number 2 that actually involved 5 cars. Now, nobody was hurt real badly, but we'll take a look at what happened.
We see the cars already, the wreck has already happened. Rick Wilson, the bright orange car, that's Larry Pearson, the white car. Harry Gant like a top, spinning round and round and round in the Skull Bandit. I don't think Harry made any serious contact with anyone, and I think that's Dale Jarrett. Now here we see Rick Wilson get together with Larry Pearson and Rick head on in the wall, folks. Now this is at 160, 70 miles an hour. He hits the wall head on.
It just turned both cars right into the wall, and of course a tremendous amount of damage. Here's Richard Petty now spinning down on the inside.
And we'll take a look this time at real-time speed from the in-car Richard Petty.
Ooh, right in the back of Harry Gant.
That's what caused Gant to spin around. I know Dale Jarrett was right on Richard Petty's bumper, and I guess that's how he got involved.
Well, one of those drivers involved who took a hard shot into the wall, Rick Wilson, and Checkered is with him.
Well, Rick Wilson, you took a 175-mile-an-hour impact into the concrete wall. What happened up there?
Well, you know, me and Darrell was running pretty good. The Kodak Fan Oldsmobile was running awful good today, and me and Darrell got hooked up and went down low. And there were some cars there, and we were coming off a corner real low and started moving up. And the next thing I knew, somebody had caught me in the right rear quarter panel and just turned me in the wall. You know, I think we had a race, you know, a car that we could have won the race with. We didn't have to we didn't have to come in the pit anymore. It was just a deal where we could stay out.
Well, they're getting back under green flag conditions here. Let's check in with Jerry Punch for this information.
One impressive job of driving by young Davey Allison here on pit road. It was a gas and go only for Davey, but he had to avoid 3 or 4 cars in front of him. He was sort of like a conga line back and forth as he was going in and out of cars. Phil Barkdahl's car, Ricky Rudd's car, and others. It's a miracle he got through it, but the youngster got back on the racetrack and is now trying to climb his way back to the front as we are under green.
Well, for number 6 to pass Bobby Hillen, but here comes Davey Allison, the Haviland Ford car number 28, as he is on the move. 28 cars are still in the race, and every single one of them are in the lead lap. And now Davey Allison, as we watch from the in-car camera, approaches Bobby Hillen and tries to take over the second spot. And he'll move to the inside, coming off the 4th corner into the tri-oval to do the job. Allison is now second.
Just moved right by Bobby Hillen.
We have Ford's first and second. Now we'll watch Davey Allison's pursuit of Mark Martin. Going for $100,000 is Mark Martin. Davey Allison has the lead.
They say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. I can't tell you how strong Davey Allison is. He just told you how strong he is.
Definitely has to be ranked among the favorites and the likely candidates to win this 31st annual Pepsi 400. Mark Martin, though, is staying right on his tail. And there is Dale Earnhardt, and he is smoking, it appears.
He's off the pace.
They think he has equalized a tire. He just changed tires during this last pit stop. Apparently has a vibration. Pulling down to the inside. Here comes Rusty Wallace and Morgan Shepherd. Rusty on the outside as they go 3 abreast around Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt apparently headed for pits.
And Dale Earnhardt is the Winston Cup points leader going into this event. 122 points ahead of Rusty Wallace, who just passed him on the racetrack. And now here comes Dale in for a pit stop. Checkered will call this stop as Earnhardt in the GM Goodrich Chevrolet comes in.
Dale Earnhardt takes aim on his pit crew as he comes to the wall, leaves it about 5 feet away. The crew goes to work on the left side. That's where they think the tire is equalized. They make sure that there's plenty of fuel. Chocolate Myers completing his work. Meanwhile, the crew attaching the tires. They've completed their work. He puts it in gear. 10.5 seconds, but still a costly stop under green.
Indeed, it is a costly stop as Dale Earnhardt gets up to speed very slowly coming out of the pits. Here comes the field at full speed out of corner number 4 with Davey Allison showing the way.
Earnhardt will really have to hurry to be able to get his speed up. As we mentioned before, it takes a long time. In fact, it takes a full lap to get your speed full here after going out of the pits. He's still about a quarter of a lap ahead of him. He should be able to stay in the lead lap, but running out there by himself with them drafted together, how long will he be able to stay there?
That's the problem. Those cars hooked up together. The 2 Fords of Davey Allison and Mark Martin hooked up together.
And now side-by-side racing involving the number 11 car of Terry Labonte and the 88 of Jimmy Spencer, who's having a great run this afternoon.
Jimmy Spencer has had a super run. Just hired 3 races ago to be the driver for Danny Shift and Buddy Baker.
Earnhardt coming back into the pits apparently was not the left side tires, so Earnhardt will go a lap down now as he comes back into the pits.
Tough break for Dale Earnhardt, who will not win the Pepsi 400 in 1989. Let's go to Checkered.
Well, gentlemen, that's the gamble that you take. When you go to one side under green flag conditions, they inspected those tires, the left side. They saw nothing was wrong, no equalization, so they determined that it must be on the right side. They've made the change there, and he's off and away, but this has been extra costly.
Okay, has gone a lap down. As we mentioned earlier, there are 28 cars running. 28 cars were on the lead lap. Now that means Dale Earnhardt is a lap down, so that would put him in 28th position.
Mark Martin, 2 things he's going for. His first Winston Cup win, plus that $100,000 bonus from Unical. So what's more important, the bonus or the win?
Oh, the money's not the most important thing. It's more important to get our first win for the Stroh's Light team. The guys really deserve it. They've worked so hard for it, and they're going to win. And after the first one comes, they're just going to keep coming.
This could be the day that Mark Martin visits victory lane for the first time, but he's got a very strong Davey Allison leading him at the moment with 118 laps completed. And now, look at this group of cars as Darrell Waltrip, there is Morgan Shepherd, Jimmy Spencer,
Derek Cope.
Rusty Wallace, and there's the bumper cam on Rusty's car. Ernie Urban looking back at him.
And Dale Earnhardt is back in the pits once again.
They think it's the left rear tire that's giving him problems.
Or maybe a wheel bearing. What about it, Checkered?
Ned, that's what they're checking on right now. Kurt Shelmerdine and the rest of the crew taking a look. Richard Childress also talking on the radio. Cecil Gordon looks under the car and they send him back out. To be quite frank with you, they're not all that certain what the problem is, nor is Earnhardt. So they're still hunting and seeking and trying to resolve the problem on the Goodrich car here, the Goodrich car.
Tough break for Earnhardt, who's in a fight for that Winston Cup championship. Now, in previous years, they awarded a bonus to the driver leading at that halfway point, which is this race, but this year they didn't do that. They're saving all of the bonus money, R.J. Reynolds is, for the Winston Cup. It'll pay $1 million in December.
$1 million. Now, folks, you understand why they're running 3 abreast in the grass everywhere else.
The bumper cam looking back on Darrell Waltrip, who won the Daytona 500 in February here. And he's trying to win the Pepsi 400 also. The home of NASCAR, Daytona Beach, Florida. We're here for the Pepsi 400, but there's a lot of other recreational activity over on the world's most famous beach, Daytona Beach. Well, as you can see, as we are with Davey Allison, he now finds himself in second position as Mark Martin took over the top spot.
And he went into turn 3, drove down on the inside, and drove right around Davey, almost as if Davey just moved up and let him go. They had pulled away from the pack of cars behind them by about 100 yards, but now that they have hooked back up together, they're beginning to move away again. But what a race we got back in the pack.
Yeah, this is quite a distance behind the leader, but still these guys are going for position. That, of course, is Darrell Waltrip leading others down, as now we have Rusty Wallace's bumper cam. Look how close they run to that wall up there coming out of corner number 4.
Rusty Wallace running about 15th spot right now. He's in second place in the Winston Cup point standings. Dale Earnhardt, the leader, having some problems today. If Wallace could get a little bit farther up front, he might take over the lead, but back in 15th, I don't think he can.
See the car bottom out there a few seconds ago?
Yeah, sometimes when they go into turn 1 down there, if you hit that turn just right with the left wheel, it will bottom out.
Oh, look at this. The bumper cam and Jimmy Spencer. You can see also 4 cars running back there in the pack behind Jimmy Spencer. Oh, look at Spencer move out. There are the 4 cars. That's Jim Sauter substituting for Phil Barkdahl, Gary Cope, Ernie Urban, and Lake Speed.
All racing for position, still in the lead lap.
Phil Barkdahl climbed out of that 73 car a few laps ago, turning it over to Jim Sauter, who dropped out of competition early in the race. Derek Cope with a fine run today in car number 10. Ernie Urban is right there in number 2, and Lake Speed bringing up the rear of this pack in car number 83. Up front, meanwhile, it is still, and we see some 3 abreast racing there. And that is Bill Elliott. Now, this is not quite up front, but without question, Bill Elliott once again making a charge. And you can see the damage there on the right front of the car, but it hasn't apparently affected the aerodynamics of that Ford Thunderbird.
Now, he has moved into 5th place. The yellow car, the car number 5 of Jeff Bodine, is running 3rd. You can see the leaders out in front of them, how much of a lead they have. Bobby Hillen hanging tough there in 4th place in car number 8.
Alan Kowicki followed Bill Elliott. They've been running together for about 10 laps, but looks like that Elliott might leave Kowicki in his dust.
And Bill Elliott is already to 4th and setting his sights now on the 5 car of Jeff Bodine. We understand that Jeff Bodine in number 5 is complaining about his Levi Garrett Chevrolet being loose. And Alan Kowicki also passes Bobby Hillen Jr. And here is Richard Petty being lapped by Davey Allison and Mark Martin.
Yeah, his car's not up to speed after he got involved in that accident. Here's Bill Elliott now trying to move into 3rd place around Jeff Bodine. He can see those front 2 cars beginning to get away. He said, I got to get out here and try to close up some of that distance.
We're looking at the rundown after 125 laps. And look at Jeff Bodine go backwards. Phil Parsons is passing.
Right now, the first 4 positions is filled by Fords. Then we have a Buick and Phil Parsons.
Bill raised his hand there to Allen. What do you suppose he was trying to say? Stay with me and let's do this together?
He probably did. He said, don't pass it. Just stay behind me. We'll get hooked up together and go to front. Go to the front.
There's the interval. The first 2 coming through the bottom of your screen, and then that interval back to Bill Elliott in 3rd. Mark Martin continues to lead the Pepsi 400.
They got scattered out more on the last restart than we've seen them all afternoon. And whether that was by design, I'm sure it's by design that these 2 cars are running out front the way that they are. They're wanting to hook up together and pull away from the rest of the field. And Davey Allison, of course, is one of those front cars, and very much has a commentator.
Well, we're standing by with Tony Price, the crew chief for Davey Allison. And Tony, a few minutes ago, it almost looked like Davey moved up and let Mark Martin go by, but you guys are a little bit concerned about the fuel.
Yeah, we were about 1 lap short of going the distance on fuel, and we knew we needed to be lined up together so we could try and pull away from the other cars, but we felt maybe we could save a little fuel if we were sitting in behind Mark. We just got to hope that we can save enough, I guess.
Well, with Davey Allison leading, Mark Martin in the draft, they were pulling away.
Neil Bonnet spins.
Neil Bonnet is spinning. Oh!
Well, he almost spun. He hasn't lost it yet. I'll tell you, he did one whale of a job driving that Citgo Ford number 21.
And who was it that just squeezed by?
That was Jimmy Spencer, wasn't it? That just went by on the outside, and the caution flag is out.
Yes.
And when he had some debris on the racetrack, he might have, I don't think he blew the engine. It looked like he was still running as he came out through there.
The leaders take the yellow flag, and we are at reduced speed once again. Boy, I tell you. Neil just did a great job. You can see the damage there on the left front corner of that car.
Yeah, I think that's when he came down off of the banking and the air dam on the front of the car hit the pavement, the flat part of the pavement, and it's done quite a bit of damage there. Let's look at it again.
This could have been a horrible accident. Watch how close Jimmy Spencer squeezes through.
Well, the back end of Neil's car got loose. And boy, is he doing some driving to get that. There's Jimmy Spencer up on the outside, just getting by between Bonnet and the wall. Bonnet brings her back down to the inside. There's where the damage was done to the left front of the Ford number 21. Here's another angle. Darrell Waltrip on the back bumper of Neil Bonnet as they tried to pass the car number 75 of Morgan Shepherd going into the turn. Looked like Neil, the back end of it, just got loose as he went in the turn.
What happened was Darrell Waltrip pulled up behind him going into turn 1, and as we said back in Talladega, he took the air off the rear spoiler of Bonnet's car, and without that down pressure on that rear spoiler, unable to control the car, boom, around he goes.
Well, he did a masterful job of saving it from a real major catastrophe.
He really did. So he's still out there and still in the lead lap. Now, do they pit? Tony Price was talking about Davey Allison being concerned about fuel. Most of the people are out on pit road, so they're either pulling a whale of a decoy here or going to make a pit stop.
We'll know here in just a second.
That's right, Ned. There may be some decoys out there. There may be some guys going to make pits. Let's see.
Mark Martin's not.
Here comes Davey.
He is.
Elliott stayed on the racetrack.
Jeff Bodine in, Bobby Hillin. Jerry Punch on pit road.
Well, Davey Allison absolutely has to come in. They felt they just could not make it the rest of the way on fuel. Mark Martin's crew, on the other hand, told us they felt they could go the rest of the way. So Davey Allison had no choice, gentlemen. He is in now getting fuel and right side tires. A number of cars here on pit road. We see the Dick Trickle car, Neil Bonnet coming in. That's 11.6 seconds. Good pit stop, even under caution for Robert Yates and the Haviland crew for Davey Allison.
I don't know. What do you think, guys? Was that the thing to do? He's going to have to be fighting his way through traffic now.
Track position is everything, but Davey Allison could be the absolute best car here. You see the hose just by his right shoulder? That's to keep him cooled off because it's very hot, very humid here in Daytona. He needs that hose.
And keeping cool is a very big part of this race in early July. Here is another track fact. Track Facts are brought to you by the Robert Bosch Corporation, makers of Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
We all know that on extremely hot afternoons like here at Daytona in July, a lot of drivers would like to wear a cool suit. But to wear a cool suit, you must put a 40-pound ice box in the car. That's weight that a lot of teams can't afford. So how do they keep the driver and the vital organs of the car cool? Well, let me show you. Take a look at the left side of the Kenny Shrader Folgers car here. They have air vents. This upper air vent will carry air through duct tubing down to the rear end cooler. The lower air vent will carry duct air through that piece of tubing down to the oil tank. Now, NASCAR has mandated that all oil tanks must be inside the car for a safety precaution. The third and possibly most important air vent is on the right side of the car. This is the air vent here, this baby right here, that carries air through and dumps it on the driver. Why is it so important? Because this side window in the car prevents any air from getting inside of the driver, and you literally could cook a Winston Cup driver here at 145 degrees on a hot July afternoon.
Well, the car used there was Ken Shrader. He is out of the race at the moment, but we have a lot of competition coming up in the closing stages of the Pepsi 400. Well, all of us on the ESPN Speed World hope you have a safe remainder of the July 4th holiday weekend. We've started things off with a firecracker, the Pepsi 400 here at Daytona International Speedway. The green flag comes out and we are racing once again on lap number 133.
Dale Earnhardt, the black car on the inside, wanted to get one of his laps down. If I'm not mistaken, he's 2 down there.
Yes, 2 laps down as a result of green flag, unscheduled green flag pit stops. Mark Martin, the car number, the blue car, 6 on the outside, is the leader. Bill Elliott running in 2nd place. Alan Kowicki 3rd. Phil Parsons in 4th place.
Mark Martin begins to pull away just slightly from Bill Elliott as they race down the backstretch. Sterling Marlin finds himself in 5th spot.
Now, this front 4 cars and perhaps the front 5 cars did not make a pit stop during this last caution period. Davey Allison did. He came back out in 10th place, though, so he's not too far back. There's Darrell Waltrip and Rusty Wallace running side by side.
They're in the second group of cars, a few car lengths behind the lead group, and there are the cars out of race. McFadden, Moise, both involved in a crash. Also, Michael Waltrip was involved in a crash, as was Ken Shrader. And now here's the bumper cam from Rusty Wallace's car, as we see Lake Speed's number 83, and there's Waltrip.
Wow, that was a close deal. There wasn't much room. There we see Davey Allison down on the inside getting by Darrell Waltrip, pulling up behind Rusty Wallace. No, he's not even going to pull behind him. He's going to try to pass.
Davey Allison trying to fight his way through the field. He did make a pit stop just a few moments ago. Now definitely has enough fuel. The crew is concerned that he may not have enough to go the distance, but now he does and can really put the pedal to the metal. There's Jeff Bodine right behind Rusty Wallace, and here's Jack with a comment.
Well, Bob, Bodine needed a caution very, very badly. You surmised that maybe he was slowing down a bit. He was showing loose. What he said to Waddell Wilson, his crew chief, when Waddell asked him how loose it was, he said it was bad loose. They were even gambling and thinking about bringing him in under green flag conditions. But due to that caution, they've made the exchange of tires, and he reports that he's running a little bit better now, not as loose as he was before. Let's check in with Jerry Punch now.
Well, Steve Mill, Mark Martin's crew chief, has made a prediction, Jack. He said we just cannot hold off Kowicki and Elliott much longer. He said both Elliott and Kowicki were like a 1/10 of a second quicker than us before the yellow flag came out last time. He said we're just going to have to try to hang on, but if Kowicki and Elliott line up and draft each other, they're going to go right by us, and we're going to have to hang on for dear life. And his prediction just came true. Bill Elliott slid beneath his driver, Mark Martin, headed for turn 1. And Kowicki will follow him right on through.
Well, a great timing on that report, Jerry. Just as you were saying they can't hold off Elliott, he went to the inside coming off the 4th corner and takes the lead once again.
And Bill Elliott started that pass in the middle of the back straightaway. About right here, the last lap, he backed up from Mark Martin, 3 or 4 car lengths, and then pressed accelerator going in the corner, got some momentum going, so when he came off turn 4, he was able to drive right by Mark Martin, and it surprised Martin so much he almost crashed.
Bill Elliott looking for his 2nd consecutive Winston Cup victory. He won last week at Michigan.
Look at Davey Allison has moved back up to 6th. He came out of the pits in 10th place. He has caught the lead pack. He's going to be to contend with in this race.
Indeed, Davey Allison, who has been up and down all afternoon, is on the way up once again, finding himself in 6th position. This is his vantage point, and he's about to go to 5th. That's the number 94 of Sterling Marlin that he just went around, and now Davey is in 5th, and Phil Parsons will possibly be an next victim. Well, he stays to the inside.
Yeah, didn't quite get around Sterling Marlin. He's going to try it again, but he needs a little bit of help. There's Morgan Shepherd behind him on the outside. And these guys certainly aren't going to give you any room now. Not at this stage of the race. You've got to work for everything you get.
Well, from the perspective that we had, it looked as if Davey Allison had made a pass on Sterling Marlin, but that wasn't quite the case. So the action continues on this Saturday afternoon at Daytona International Speedway. We'll be back after this. It all began with NASCAR on the beach at Daytona Beach. That's where they used to run the NASCAR races at this location. Now you guys can better identify with this than me. I wasn't even born at this time, you understand.
Well, I'm sure Benny's going to bow out of this and say, well, I don't know what it's all about. I'm too young. But I'll tell you, I'm glad that I did get the opportunity to race on the beach before this super speedway was built here. I didn't run in what is now Western Cup competition, but I did run in sportsman competition a couple of times on the beach.
And Davey Allison has moved to 4th. He has also passed Phil Parsons in addition to Sterling Marlin, and Davey Allison is in contention once again, and we have 4 Fords up front.
Well, I tell you, I never did get to see a stock car raced on the beach, but I'm telling you, Bob, if they were any more exciting than what we've seen today. And look, Davey Allison pulling alongside Alan Kawicki as they come off the second corner. Looks like he's going to do it with ease.
He has new tires on the right side, Bob, of that car. He made that pit stop, got out of the pits, came back in 10th place. A car in trouble on the backstretch.
Another smoker. It looks like a car has come in contact with the wall and been in the sheet metal on the right side. That's Bobby Hillen. And he'll be coming into the pits. We'll see if the caution waves from Harold Kinder. I'm not sure it's going to, because the car now is down out of harm's way to the inside of the rest. Yes, indeed, Harold Kinder is displaying the yellow, and we're going to go under caution one more time. This will be the 11th time of the afternoon.
Bobby Hillen was running up in the top 5 not too long ago, and it slipped back a little bit, was still in the top 10 before he had this encounter with the wall somewhere on the backstretch or coming off of turn 2.
There is the tire that has come off the car.
We could have cut a tire down or something. We haven't really had any tire problems here today. Maybe a couple of cuts.
Looks like a spindle broke or something. There's nothing at all there, is there? I don't see anything on the right front.
No, it really doesn't. And the crew, they look in there and see the same thing, Benny, that, hey, there's something bad wrong here.
Looking for it in replay. There
he is. He has already hit the wall. You can see the smoke coming from the car. That's Ricky Rudd in the green car going by on the inside. And Bobby Hillen running on 3 wheels, but he gets you back to the pits.
While we have the opportunity, this, of course, is our first telecast of a Winston Cup race here at Daytona International Speedway. We'd like to thank everybody for their hospitality. The president of the Speedway, John Cooper, is in the booth here with us, and we take our hats off to you, sir, and we appreciate your hospitality here at Daytona.
Bob, we're glad to finally have ESPN here at Daytona to do a Winston Cup race, and I think you've got a dandy.
Thank you. It has been an outstanding show. It really has. The racing has just been unbelievable here.
It looks like Richard has 4 flat tires on his car, like he might have spun over there or something.
Yeah, they're having to lift the car up just to get the jack under it. So apparently the tires are flat. You were talking to John Cooper there. The largest crowd ever to see a July race here at Daytona is in attendance today, Bob. And of course, we've seen that so many of the Winston Cup races this year, the record crowds. And Jerry Punch is with Dr. Jerry Punch is with Bobby Hillen, who calls this caution. See Bobby coming out of the car. Jerry?
Well, Bobby is climbing out of the car. First of all, Bobby, a hard lick over there. You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. I just got real loose and lost it. We were running good. The Miller Buick was running great. We just lost it. My fault.
Well, he admits it, of course, and he is really upset about that for running so well here today. But the right front of the car is totally wiped out, as you see. As Bobby Hillen walk around talking with Kerry Hyde, looking at the damage to the right side of his car. 142 laps complete here at Daytona, the Pepsi 400. Bill Elliott leads. Stay tuned.
Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, Jack Arute, and Dr. Jerry Punch back at Daytona. There's a number 52 car, Jimmy Means. He's running 24th.
The Alka-Seltzer car, he just came in, made a 4-tire change. It's been a long time since we've seen Jimmy Means do that. It's been a long time since we've seen him in the lead lap near the end of the race. He's giving his best shot right now, putting on 4 new tires on that Alka-Seltzer Pontiac. He said, I'm going to see how far through the field I can go.
After a crash last weekend in Michigan, Jimmy making a great comeback. Well, the field accelerates now, having taken the green flag, and once again it is Bill Elliott and Mark Martin pulling away, but Davey Allison will stick right in there. They lap the number 3 car of Earnhardt.
And Phil Parsons got an excellent jump on the restart, trying to take over that 4th spot from Kowicki. They come off the second corner, 3 abreast. Allen's going to have some help. Oh, they almost touched. Allen back and forth.
Yeah, I think they did touch a little bit there going into turn 1.
Oh, and Lake Speed is
on the roof.
Flipping down the backstretch. The car rolling over several times.
Dave Marcus involved in it.
Now
Looked like Jimmy Spencer's car was involved. Here comes Hut Strickland spinning around. Jimmy Means in the back of the pack got by. He'll pick up a bunch of positions.
Lake Speed's car apparently hit the outside wall and just started tumbling down the racetrack. There you can see the very badly damaged Oldsmobile Bullseye barbecue machine on the inside of the backstretch, and the caution out on lap 144.
Wow. This has been something.
We were patiently awaiting for Lake. There's the safety crew coming to Lake's aid, and we hope that he comes out quickly. Car number 5, the Levi Garrett Chevrolet of Jeff Bodine apparently involved there as well.
A little bit of sheet metal. There's Dave Marcus, who was involved. Tremendous damage there at the front end of his Lumina, but Dave is sitting in the car and appears to be okay. Ernie Irvin was involved. You can see the sheet metal rubbing against the tire on the left front of that machine.
Hut Strickland, we don't know where he went to. We saw him spinning down through there. Dick Trickle has a flat tire right in front of coming in on pit road. He has a flat tire. The front just dragging the racetrack.
Here comes
this is Ernie Irvin in the white car that we see right now. That's him going down pit road.
A lot of damage to the Kroger Pontiac.
Let's take a look at it once again, try to determine what happened.
Well, it looked like Lake Speed was trying to shoot up through the middle there as they were drafting for position, and perhaps got tapped by Sterling Marlin in the blue car behind and shot him into the wall. The car started going over and over, and you can see the car's trying to move around him. There's Dave Marcus, hit him hard. Here's Jimmy Spencer. It looked like down on the inside. He got in on it. And here comes Hut Strickland in the car number 57 sliding out through there.
And from another angle.
I think that Ned said it just right. I think that there was contact between the 83 car and the 94 car of Sterling Marlin. And Dave Marcus gave Lake a pretty good rap going down through the grass. And look at the windshields. Look at the debris, the dirt flying from these automobiles. You know, it's hard to watch these shots and tell when these cars are running 180, 90 miles an hour. But when something like this happens, folks, it's easy to tell just how fast we're running.
And one more angle now.
Well, he's already on his roof there and rolling over as the other cars come in on him now. Darrell Waltrip going by on the outside. And you can see Dave Marcus in car number 71 hit him pretty hard there.
Well, these cars are built very well in the roll kit. And there is Lake Speed. Well, good deal. He is walking into the ambulance. Let's go down to Jerry Punch.
Well, that is absolutely a testimonial to how well NASCAR mandates that these cars must be built. I was just standing on pit road talking to Robert Harrington, the crew chief for Lake Speed, and he told me Lake, after flipping and rolling and getting careened off by a couple other race cars, popped their headset radio and said, please tell Risa I'm okay. We've lost a race car, but we'll race again. So a true testimonial of the safety that NASCAR makes these cars have, and he has now walked away. Of course, last week Bill Venturini took a tremendous impact in the wall up in Michigan, was taken to a hospital and underwent a number of days of in-hospital care up there. And of course, the fact that he could walk away with that kind of impact also indicates how well these cars are built. Bob?
Yeah, I can update you a little bit more on Bill Venturini. I talked with him on the phone on Thursday, and he apparently is going to be released from the hospital on Monday. He'll have to wear a halo for about 6 months because of the broken vertebrae in his neck, and the injuries could be life-threatening, but Bill Venturini is in very good spirits. Dave Marcus sits in his car as the caution is out on Daytona International Speedway, and we'll be back with more after this. We're glad glad you could join us at Daytona International Speedway for the Pepsi 400 for the first time in history, flag-to-flag coverage of this Winston Cup event. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. By First Brands Corporation, makers of STP Son of a Gun Protectant. By the Die Hard battery, now with more power when you need it most. And by Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. Under yellow because of the most serious crash of the afternoon. It involved Lake Speed down the backstretch. Here's the replay.
Okay, he's in a bunch of cars. He tries to shoot up on the inside. You can see that he and Sterling Marlin in the 94 car on the outside got together just a little bit, and then again, and it turned Lake right into the wall, and the car started rolling almost immediately. All the cars behind him started dicing for position, trying to get out of the way. Smoke was blinding them as they went in there, and many of them got involved.
And here is an excellent view of the incident by Rusty Wallace's car. You can see all kinds of things flying back in Rusty's face and downshifting to avoid the accident. Let's go to Jerry Punch on pit road on Mark Martin.
Well, you know, gentlemen, Mark Martin last pitted on lap number 102. We said he had to go 58 laps to the finish. That would be 140 miles. The man who's doing the calculations down there is the man who builds the motors, Jack Roush. And let's go down to a pair of Jacks, Jack Arute and Jack Roush.
Well, Jack Roush, I just finished talking to Jack Roush, who, as you say, Jerry Punch is doing the calls there. They've been getting fluctuating miles per gallon readings throughout the course of the day. First, they got it at 7.5 miles per gallon. Then they got it as low as 2.5 miles per gallon. Now, just a couple of minutes ago, Jack Roush, Mark Martin radioed in. He said, how many pounds of fuel pressure?
He said it was down below 5 pounds. We normally carry 6.5. We think that it just stacked up on the banking, but we think we're ready to go.
Well, they are indeed ready to go. We'll have to see if
we have a crash. Darrell Waltrip spins to the grass on the restart. Boy, you knew something was going to happen because they were coming down 4 abreast once again, and something had to give, and Darrell got the bad end of it.
He and Sterling Marlin got together as they were running at least those 2 cars and maybe others as they jockey for position over on the backstretch coming around for the... Well, there's no yellow flag out, so...
I don't think there's going to be one.
No.
Darrell is running okay, and the field is at full speed down the backstretch, so no caution. And here comes Davey Allison to the inside, taking over second position from Mark Martin.
He's trying to take over second spot.
Martin battling back on the outside of the number 6 stroll light for Bill Elliott, showing the way here with 11 laps to go.
Boy, these restarts have been something this afternoon.
Let's take a look at the restart. You can see the traffic jam created 4 abreast. Yeah, and Waltrip gets squeezed.
Yeah, Rusty Wallace dove down on the inside, and Waltrip got squeezed. Phil Parsons, I believe, was involved there as well. And they continue. Waltrip spins down to the inside. No caution. Waltrip running way behind. A lot of smoke coming from his car, perhaps a tire rubbing a fender.
10.5 more laps to go in the Pepsi 400 on this Saturday afternoon from Daytona Beach, Florida. The first 3, Elliott in 9, then Mark Martin in 6, and Davey Allison in 28.
I'll tell you, Mark Martin has to be wondering, do I have enough fuel to make it? Now, a lot of those laps have been run under caution. We've had a good many cautions and certainly don't use as much fuel then.
Harold Kinder just gave them 10 laps to go. 25 more miles, and this Pepsi 400 is going to be over.
Well, one fellow got the black flag on that restart. That was Jim Sauter in the car number 73, who's now driving for Phil Barkdahl. It's just a stop-and-go penalty, but it really cost him. He jumped the flag on the restart, and it's going to put him way back in the field.
That may have contributed to the ultimate spin by Darrell Waltrip. There are the top 5. They're running nose to tail. Then a little bit of racetrack back to Alan Kulwicki, who finds himself in 6th position and trying desperately to catch the lead pack. But he's got very few more laps to do it. 9 to go as they come down. Any one of these 5 cars can win this race.
Very easily, any of these 5 cars could win the race. The fellow who has the most to win, probably the guy in 2nd spot.
And you can see we're on record pace again as 19 cars are on the lead lap. Mark Martin trying to win his first Winston Cup race in his career in the blue Strollite number 6 Ford.
A lot of money if he does.
Yeah, in addition to that, it's $100,000 in bonus money from Unical. That's in addition to the money he'll win for actually taking home the first place prize. Davey Allison in third. It is Morgan Shepherd in fourth position and Phil Parsons in fifth.
Now, Bob, I'm sure there's some fans sitting out there who keep up with the various plans and things in NASCAR that say, well, we haven't mentioned that Mark Martin would go on the Winter Circle plan too. He wouldn't, because all the Winter Circle plan spots are gone this year as he makes that move for the lead.
Here is Martin going for the lead, going into turn number 1. He's got Davey Allison with him on the bottom side of the racetrack, and Martin goes to the lead.
Here comes Morgan Shepherd. He wants a little piece of it, but he didn't have the muscle to try and make the move that time. He's got 3 stout Fords in front of him.
Elliott goes back to third. Davey Allison now is in second. There you can see Mark's finishes in previous Pepsi 400s. Now it looks as if Davey Allison may be in a position to make a bid for the lead. We'll watch from his perspective.
5 cars in that lead draft. Phil Parsons still hanging in tight. He's in 5th place in that lead draft. They're not too far away from coming up on Darrell Waltrip as we watch out the front window of Davey Allison. They're coming up on Darrell Waltrip to put a lap on him. He's certainly off speed since he made that spin, and Rusty Wallace is coming into the pits, an unscheduled pit stop for him.
A tough break for the guy who came into this race in second place in the point standings. Earnhardt has also had a bad day as the leader in Winston Cup points, and there is the Kodiak crew going to work on the right side of Rusty's car.
Apparently a tire cut down on it, and I don't know if he stopped during that caution period or not. He went through a lot of debris. We saw a lot of debris flying through the air through his in-car camera.
Now we see Davey Allison looking to the outside, the high line of Mark Martin in turn number 4. As they come down this time, they'll complete 154 laps, and we'll have 6 to go.
They're coming up on Neil Bonnet. Neil has been at slow speed since he was involved in a spin a little bit earlier in the race, and damage done to his Ford. They went on, there they are going by Neil right now. He gives them plenty of racing room.
Those 3 Fords able to put just a little bit of breathing room on the Pontiac and the Oldsmobile. There we see Martin, Davey Allison, Phil Elliott, Morgan Shepherd, and Phil Parsons just a few car lengths back.
They went by Jeff Bodine. Jeff Bodine had come out of the pits. He had too, like Rusty Wallace, had made an unscheduled pit stop.
Mark Martin trying everything he's ever heard of to keep Davey Allison behind him. He's running high. He's running low.
You know how much he wants this Winston Cup win and is going to try everything in his power here in the last 5 laps to keep the lead. But Davey Allison now moves above Mark Martin, and Allison grabs the lead.
And Bill Elliott comes with him on the outside. Yeah, I wonder, is he out of gas?
I think he's just out of the draft.
No, I believe he's...
maybe he is.
I believe he's...
Yes, he's out of gas.
Oh, what a tough break for Mark Martin. Yeah. He begins to fall back badly now. And also... we see Morgan, Morgan Shepherd is still
still running. That's Ernie Irvin going down very slow on the back straightaway.
Phil Parsons is the one that also has brought back in this lead trio. So now it's Allison, Bill Elliott, and Morgan Shepherd who are running very close together, and Phil just a little ways behind.
I'll tell you, I had to really question the 6 car not coming in, the opportunities they had for fuel. Let's go to Jack Arute on more on that.
Well, you can see the engine starting fluid, the ether that one of the crewmen is holding in his hand. They have indeed run out of fuel, and in order to get this car started, when you run it out of fuel, you've got to spray some of this into the carburetor. The entire Stroh's Light team is waiting for Mark Martin to come onto pit road to take on precious fuel.
Morgan Shepherd goes to second spot. Bill Elliott is back to third. Allison has the lead, and now when they come by, we'll have only 3 more laps to go.
Morgan Shepherd. Ned, where did he come from? Right by Bill Elliott in the second spot. He might be in the best position of all.
He might be. He's been strong all day long. We've said that several times.
Mark Martin is in the pits for a fuel stop. They're putting some petroleum in that car, and he moves back out on the racetrack, but his chances of victory are going. And now Phil Parsons has caught the trio again. It's a 4-car battle for the lead. Morgan Shepherd in second position has not won a Winston Cup race since March of 1986 at Atlanta.
Well, his car has worked well down on the inside of the racetrack all day. What he's trying to do now is to hook up with Davey Allison, try to pull them away from the 2 cars behind him. But So far, they're not doing too good of a job of that.
Now Allison beginning to open up a little bit of a separation between himself and Shepard and the others. But here comes Morgan right back and reels him in once again.
Yeah, in the turns, boy, Morgan really stays down on the inside and just moves right back up on him.
And Bill Elliott's car has to go to the top of the racetrack, not Hamlin. And here, 2 more laps to go. Bill trying to get by Morgan Shepard, desperately trying to get by, unable to that time.
We watch out the rear windshield of the Davey Allison car. Morgan Shepard and Bill Elliott's battle. There are less than 2 laps to go in the Pepsi 400.
And Morgan stays about a half a car width lower in the turns than does Davey Allison. His car is really working. Let's watch him when he goes into turn 3. Davey opens up a little distance on the straightaway, but when they go into the turns, Davey's going to go a little bit high. Well, this time he keeps it down lower than he's been. He perhaps looked in his rearview mirror and saw where Morgan Shepard was making up that time. Morgan moved right back up on him as they come around now to get the white flag.
Harold Kinder has the white flag in hand, and he waves it for Davey Allison and Morgan Shepard and Bill Elliott and Phil Parsons. They're on the last tour of the 2.5-mile tri-oval at Daytona in the Pepsi 400. It is Allison that is staying out front by about a car length over Morgan Shepard as Bill Elliott falls back just a little in 3rd position. They come out of the 31 degrees of banking and down the flat backstretch for the final time, and they pass by Darrell Waltrip, who was successful here at this racetrack in February in the Daytona 500. Now, the cars set themselves into turn number 3, and Davey's wife, Morgan's wife, Chandra, is just hoping and praying everything she has that Morgan can pull out the victory. Let's see, we have a battle for 3rd position. The win is going to be by Davey Allison. He crosses the stripe and wins. Morgan is 2nd, and Phil Parsons, I believe, got 3rd at the last moment, passing Bill Elliott.
He sure did. There's Davey Allison, a happy fellow inside of that car. He's talking to his crew members now. Another battle to the line.
A whole bunch of cars coming down here side by side. That's Dick Trickle, Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd.
Rusty Wallace was a lap down. He made that unscheduled pit stop. But he was certainly sticking the cars there.
Davey Allison has pulled off the victory in the Pepsi 400.
Pulling the windscreen down so he can say hello to people.
Davey, this is Bob Jenkins of ESPN. You got me? Trying to reach him on the radio. Davey, this is Bob Jenkins. Can you hear me? Now, can't get a very good signal. Let's go down to Checkered, who's with Robert Yates.
Actually, I'm with Mr. and Mrs. Robert Yates. Congratulations, you've done it again on a super speedway. You've become the master of these carburetor restrictor plates, Robert.
Well, Davey just gets around these super speedway tracks and our engine guys, and you know, just everybody worked great.
Hey, a real close call, and you showed a lot of poise. When Davey had to come into the pits early on, you had that electrical problem. You dived, one of your crew members dived inside the car, made the switch. You guys never say die.
Well, I'll tell you that, you know, after the past few weeks having spark plug wires come off, and, you know, a lot of heat just went through my head, you know, and I said, Dad, gum, we went over everything so carefully, and thank goodness it worked out.
It certainly did work out, and they're on their way to victory lane, and we'll be talking to them later. Bob?
Well, this has been a record-setting day for us here at ESPN. It's the first time we've ever had an in-car camera carried to victory lane. It was just a little more than a year ago, in February of 1988, that Davey Allison followed his father, Bobby, to the checkered flag in the Daytona 500. Now, Davey wins on the same racetrack. We'll be right back. The top 10 finishers in the Pepsi 400. Davey Allison wins, Morgan Shepard 2nd, then Phil Parsons, Bill Elliott, and Alan Kulwicki. 6 through 10, Terry Labonte, Sterling Marlin, Dick Trickle, Ricky Rudd, and Hut Strickland. The Die Hard Winner's Circle interview is being brought to you by the Die Hard Battery, now with more power when you need it most. Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, Davey Allison climbing out on a jubilant cruise, just giving Davey and myself a big shower of combined Gatorade and Pepsi. And Davey, congratulations on an outstanding run.
Thank you, Jerry. You know, I got to say again, all the credit's got to go to the whole Texaco, Haviland, Thunderbird crew here, Robert Yates and all the gang. But I just told Dick Brooks on the radio, we owe a special thanks on this race to a guy that got us all started, Harry Near. We know you're out there watching, and this one's for you, pal. Thanks. We appreciate it.
You know, many firsts today. First, it's the first time we at ESPN have ever had an in-car camera go to victory lane. Thank you for us.
Well, you know, it's a great feeling. We've carried in-car camera to second place, but never to victory lane. And today we got it right here in victory lane. You know, I hated to see Mark have problems. He was awful strong out there, and Bill was strong too. But I was able to get this Texaco Haviland Thunderbird up into position, and when Mark had problems right there at the end, I was able to take advantage of it. But again, all these guys have done a great job. We didn't start off that good. We had a few problems. We got behind, but this thing is so strong it just caught right back up.
Those last few laps, you had to be a little bit concerned. Watching Morgan Shepherd, did he surprise you with his strength with 3 or 4 laps to go?
No, I watched him in practice, and I knew he was strong at Talladega, so I kept my eye on him. I knew he was going to be trying something. I just wanted to make sure I was where he wanted to be.
Davey Allison is smiling, and so does Dad Bobby. He's got to be real happy.
Yeah, this is the second race that he's seen us win. He's up in the Buick suite and watching today, had his fingers crossed for us. I know the Buick people didn't want to see a Ford win today, but I think he had a little prejudice there.
I'm sure he did. And young son, Davey Allison, goes to victory lane and winning the Pepsi 400. Bob?
And our congratulations to Davey Allison and to all of those who provided some excellent competition for us this afternoon. Now, when they came down for the checkered flag, we of course watched Davey Allison finish first and Morgan Shepherd finish second, but the real battle was for third place.
And it was Phil Parsons on the inside of Bill Elliott, and without the help of another car to draft by, he gets the position. Position number 3. Phil ran a super race here today.
Young Phil does do very well at this track, and this was a real great performance.
Daytona and Talladega, Phil's car is extremely strong. He told me before he came to Daytona that he felt like he had a car that could win the race.
It's been an exciting afternoon of competition for us here at Daytona. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Now, coming up next will be the SCCA Trans Am race at 4:30 Eastern Time. That will be live from the runways and taxiways of Burke Lakefront Airport in Cleveland, Ohio. Now, tomorrow at 11:50 Eastern Time, tomorrow morning, it's the Camel Continental IMSA race from Watkins Glen, New York, and at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, same-day coverage of the IndyCar race from, again, Cleveland, Ohio. Once again, Davey Allison has won the Pepsi 400 here at Daytona International Speedway in a great, great race. Thank you for joining us for Benny Parsons and for Ned Jarrett and our pit reporters Jerry Punch and Jack Arute. This is Bob Jenkins. We'll see you at Speed Week 730. So long, everyone.